How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Had
Yeah,
a good
good,
night.
good.
Matt Josh.
Had a fun time. Watched all 32 picks.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah, I was in and out a little bit, but
Yeah.
I got up off my couch. I switched locations at one
I
point.
did not think. I apologize. I was going to bring this up. I did not think you were like a 32 pick guy. You know?
Well, I mean, it was on television,
Yeah.
and there was
point.
nothing else on
There's a
television.
chance he
the Royals
watches
didn't play last night.
No other picks from this draft.
I won't be watching tonight. I won't be watching tomorrow. So yeah,
That was it.
Yep.
He's busy.
Jadarian Price was the last person drafted, according to Connor.
that's well. I mean, I'll learn when the other people get drafted.
Mr. Irrelevant.
He's
Jadarian
not going to
Price.
pretend like it didn't happen because he didn't see it. It's just that he doesn't plan on
That would be a
watching.
great bit.
You know, but a lot of people do pretend things didn't happen if they didn't see it.
That's true.
You
People
know?
do that.
It's like the flat Earth people. You know, how much evidence do we have to provide to you? You know, we got to take them up to space. It feels.
Those pictures are fake.
Well, there's people that don't believe in space.
There are people who do not believe in space. That is crazy. Those people are crazy.
What is
All
there?
of them work here.
What is the defense for non-space believers? Like,
I don't know.
What is the defense of? Well, you know, like there's people like living on Earth who have been to space, and they can tell you about
They think
it.
that it was made in a studio. They think
Okay.
what happened in 1969, or I think it was 19.
How about like last week? What do they say
well,
about
I
those
don't know
people?
about that. Well, they probably assume it's AI.
I think that there's way less people who don't believe in space and way more people who don't believe we went to the moon. Is the thing.
Yeah, when I
That's the
say
moon.
don't believe in space, I definitely mean the
The
moon.
moon,
like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I was gonna say I
Not-
didn't never heard of the
not
non-spacers.
general. Yeah, so that's my apology.
Look, somebody really
I was
into
grouping it when it was unfair to you.
somebody really into space travel is going to tell me I'm wrong. And I understand there are other reasons why we're going to the dark side of the moon. But I do think there was a part of NASA that was just like, these MFers shut up about the moon landed being fake? It's just so annoying.
You
Let's
think
just
that's
go
why
back.
they did it?
No, they've done it for other reasons. But I think there was probably part of the motivation of like,
Well, I think if you're allowing the outside noise to help you make decisions and dictate decisions, then you got some other problems.
yeah. I
Maybe
think
NASA should take a look inside at itself, if that's the case.
Are we limiting it to just NASA?
Yeah,
or are
there
we
it
broadening
is.
the scope to, you know?
Thank you. Thank you.
It's not rocket science.
No, that's not rocket science. Oh my God, it's the bean. What a famous
Wow.
thing.
The bean is on our television.
Weird. I was told that the bean has nothing to do with Chicago.
You see all those people. It was raining again in Chicago. They've had terrible weather, man. They've had awful weather this year. Just bad winter.
Do you think about their weather much when you live here now?
Well, yeah, because my dad's always complaining about it.
True.
You know,
You hear
he's-
about it.
he's always like, I wish you were here so you could do the snow. You know, I had to hire a guy, you know.
Who has worse weather, here or there?
Well, all encompassing or like this year?
Like
assume
a
that.
year over year, like
I assume
365.
Chicago has
Ooh.
worse weather than Nebraska
Ooh,
on
great question.
I would think so too.
Off the lake,
I'm curious though, Matt.
the
I-
hot summers are hot.
I agree with both of you. I think Nebraska from January 1st to December 31st gets better weather
A
overall.
little bit more moderate.
Little,
Yeah, and now the one thing is that the wind can ruin a really bad day here or a really good day. Like there could be a really good weather day here and the wind just kills it and it's just like this sucks
Facts.
now. So that's tough. Like Chicago, to a lot of people who may not be there a whole lot, that doesn't happen as much. There are days like that, but it doesn't happen nearly as much as it does in Nebraska. But the weathers there are way worse. Or sorry, the winter there is way worse. And you actually get spring here and you get fall here. Like there is compared
A
to
couple
Worse.
weeks.
It's
Com-
worse other places.
compared to Chicago,
Wow.
Chicago gets a fall. Chicago does not get spring. It goes winter, summer, a little bit of fall, back to winter. But the winters are way worse. The summer is better in Chicago, but I think if we're doing a scale here, the winter is way
Some are
worse
being
in
better
Chicago.
because of just the general vibe of it.
Summertime shy.
I think the vibe. That's a great point. I think
Chicago,
They
gets
wrote
hot,
songs about
the
it.
winter is so bad in Chicago.
that the summer is such a relief.
Yes,
Hmm.
and it definitely
I can get that.
amplifies.
That
It
makes sense.
amplifies the summer. Now, but I will say this though, like there are some the best days in a Chicago summer are some of the best days in the country. It's 85 degrees. It's a little bit breezy. The sun is out. The sun doesn't go down until like 8:30. Like it's perfect. You can't beat it. Like
the problem with that here, like we get those days, but you just don't know when they're coming.
Yeah,
that's the problem here. We could have top 10.
They might be on Tuesday.
We could seriously.
No preparation
I mean, if you go by the Ramby like top 10 days, we could legitimately have a top 10 day in any month of the year that probably wasn't January.
That's
11 months.
We could have 11 months of potential top 10 days.
I agree with that.
But we only get 10.
There were only
we only get 10. There's only 10.
That's fair.
Like the entire month of June, like what I just described to you, like 85, a little breezy, like that is the entire month of June.
That's
Chicago.
nice. It's like definitely hot and pain here.
It's so good. And
actually, last year was pretty moderate.
Last year was a mild June.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like it gets hot, but you got to realize, like when you're off that lake, like and you get that slight breeze, it always kind of tempers things down a little bit. So the summers in Chicago work. But everything else.
Have you ever considered the weather in Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
we've no, I haven't.
We want to place you there.
Yeah, I know. This is the second time you guys have talked about this. Now I'm going to be real with you. I love the Renegade pick yesterday. When
Schaefer hated it
when that song came on and they blacked out the lights and oh mama, I was fired up.
Same.
I was
a
excited.
little too long. Let's get to it.
No, I disagree. I think drag it out.
See, here's the
there
thing.
was nothing visual about it that like added to the element.
It was a great video. You know, like a hype video.
Happer wants them to explore the
Hi,
space.
Josh. I thought you liked whimsy, and fanfare.
I like whimsy, but I've never understood why anyone attends the NFL draft.
Okay, that's fair.
They said there were 300,000 people there last night.
The NFL draft was in Chicago for at least 2 years, and I had no inkling.
There were a ton of people here who drove down when it was in Kansas City.
Yeah, it was in Kansas City last year.
You're going to stand 2 miles away from the podium and listen to a press conference?
When it was at Radio City, that was like a bucket list item for me. Like I would love to go to Radio City Music Hall, be in New York. Hot take, maybe it's not a hot take. I think the draft was much better when it was in New York and not a traveling circus.
We liked it more when reporters stood outside of locker rooms in which you weren't sure if there was anyone actually on the other side of the door, and then they were reporting.
I want the Octobox of all the reporters standing there with their microphones waiting to be called on.
Hey,
I do.
I'm trying to think of all the
It's
different
Ben
people.
Baby in Cincinnati.
We'll go to
They used
Darlington.
their whole lineup. Like it was all of the reporters, and they were like pulled in from the various things that you mostly knew them from.
Yeah.
And it was like you know, Ed Warder was always going to be down in
Dallas.
But,
Yeah.
Sal Palantonio?
Sal
We'll go to Kevin Agandi in Philadelphia. Kevin, what do you got for us?
Mm-hmm.
I love those.
What are you hearing out
It
of
was
Jets
great.
camp?
Yeah. We're going to go to Jeff Darlington over in New England. Jeff.
It felt way better that way.
Do they still do that where they go to they do a whole month where they go to every single training camp?
On what channel?
On Sports Center, where it's like the entire
No
Sports
idea.
Center, they're cutting back to like, hey, we're spending the day at Carolina, and they keep cutting back.
I don't know because there's so many like dual practices now.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe they do knock out a couple in a day. MLB Network, they messed up their 30 and 30 thing.
Yeah, they do it in like 15 days.
Yeah, they screwed the whole thing up because they do like 3 teams a day now.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the whole day. I want my whole day of Royals.
I remember I was in spring break in
He
Arizona.
wants to hear about Gavin Cross.
Yes.
I was a spring break in Arizona, and I was at a bar called the Boondocks, and for whatever reason, they had this big TV, and the MLB Network was on, and it was March, and it was like they were
in Reds camp.
Dude, it's like 9 p.m. like at a bar, people are getting hammered. There's live music, and yet they were previewing the Washington Nationals roster.
Have you guys ever been to an NFL training camp?
No
Practice?
No, and I don't have any interest.
Been invited a couple times, whether it was down to Kansas City with people that were going or up to Mankato when Minnesota was up there. I just don't have the
If it wasn't
interest
such
in
a circus, especially with the Midwest teams, are like they draw so well. If you could maybe make your way to like Tennessee or Cincinnati or like I don't know what is it, Arizona. Like maybe nobody cares at those, and they're.
Sure.
I think there's still a
Good
bunch
point.
of people because there's still like the autograph seekers. Like it brings out a lot of young fans because it's free. Like you don't have to pay for it.
When we got to Cincinnati last year for the Big East tournament, like their airport is kind of right in the downtown area, but we had to go north. And so when we were coming in on the overpass, the Bengals were down there practicing. There wasn't anybody
like
there.
OTAs or whatever?
It must have been because it was late May.
Rookie
must have been rookie mini camp or something. There wasn't anybody there or anything like
That's
that.
probably why there wasn't anybody there.
Yeah, the Bears did growing up, the Bears did their training camp at Bourbonnais, which is like in between Champaign. So in between Chicago and Champaign.
You didn't go?
No, because it was like an hour and 15 minutes to see Chris Connie do what,
And it's Champagne. You don't need to really go.
Yeah. Well, it's in between. So it was like
so you didn't have to get all the way to Champagne.
No, it was like an hour and a half, hour 15.
Like Hammond.
But yeah. I mean, I actually did. So Hammond, Indiana is 45 minutes away from my house.
Ham Bears.
So not that I went to a lot of Chicago Bears games anyway to begin with, but definitely won't be going to any if they move out there. But they shouldn't. The caucus came together.
How long does it take to get to Soldier Field from your house?
So 22 minutes. But that's like
on what line?
What do you mean? On the highway.
Oh, you're driving there?
Yeah, we drive there 22 minutes driving, but that's without traffic. That's like not on a game day.
So
traffic.
Not a real scenario.
Well, if back in the day, my dad we used to leave like 3.5 hours before kickoff. Like we used to leave at like 9:30 or like 8:30 before 12 o'clock game. So it's like we actually it would take us about 25 minutes to get down there. And then there was this Greek restaurant called Rosides.
Diana?
No, not Rossini's. It was Rosati's or it's something like that. And
what are the specials at that restaurant?
Well, they had a great lemon drop soup, so we go and eat there.
Oh man!
And then then we went to the game, and we would walk from there. We'd park in there. We knew the owner, and my dad, like some Greek guy, and he was like really good friends with him. The owner of the Greek restaurant would just let us park our car in the parking lot for the Bears game.
So this is an Italian restaurant.
No,
with
it's a Greek restaurant,
and they have egg drop soup.
No, lemon drop soup.
Oh, okay. I thought you said okay.
So not Italian and not
Greek. I was concerned.
Greek. Yeah, they had great saganaki, and Dolomites as well. It was great. Baklava. You always get the baklava at the end. You ever have baklava a lot? Baklava's so good,
man.
Yeah, I'm lukewarm on
baklava.
it.
No. Anything with honey, any dessert with honey in it. Like if honey is the star.
With honey on it?
Yeah. You know what? I had bread pudding for the first time 2 years ago, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Has it been 2 years since you've had it since?
I had it the last time I was in Chicago.
Okay.
We went back and I had
it
again.
Like a week ago.
Like 3 weeks ago. I'm going to Chicago in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So
you sure are. It's another month. You got to check it off.
Do laundry.
Well, it's a memorial service for somebody who passed away.
Wow, way to go, you insensitive jerk.
Schaefer. Ridiculous. One of the heads of the four families has passed away.
No, I think you told us about this the last time. I stepped in it then too. I'll
know.
probably do it again in another week.
I can't wait, and I'll just make you feel bad about it. Look at the White Sox one. Hell yeah.
I'll be honest, Matt. Probably not gonna do it.
But yeah, ham in 45 minutes away.
Nice.
Tough.
If they were moving there, it would be, which they might be.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what would happen, like what other events they might host when they build new Soldier Field in Arlington Heights.
Is there anything in Hammond, like a
subway,
amusement park, or?
Thank you.
Okay.
No. I never. This is a great question because like Hammond, Indiana would be like the town where it's like, oh my God, they got a Six Flags there.
Six Flags over Chicago.
Let's go. Yeah. Like we all go to Hammond to go to the Six Flags. No, there's no water park. There's no Splash Mountain.
I think the point would be you would just build the town around it. You're basically building a town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Hammond, who cares?
I mean, call it whatever you want.
Can I be? I never.
They would probably tell the Bears to name it whatever they want.
McCaskey Town.
If they wanted to name it like
Hallis Hall,
Silver Peak or something like, something a little bit more like regal and
sure. I hear what you're
fancy
saying.
And classy. It'd be a lot cooler than saying the Bears play in Hammond.
Yeah,
they play in Silver Peak.
That's so good. That is what they would do. They play they play in Bronze Hills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a lot better.
You know what?
The Bronze Hill Bears
Or the French Hills. That's what they would call it. The
Any
French,
of those.
French Hills, Indiana.
Wow.
That's where they play. They play in French Hills.
Black Hawk.
Yeah.
Well,
Calm down there.
that's taken.
Yeah.
You could say that.
Or they play at Eagle Run,
Eagle Run.
We got one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
golf there.
It really all is all about like put it's an animal plus a verb, and that's a great name for
I'm amazed that they find ways to come up with new names for neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really unbelievable.
Well, they take one word and then it goes from like there's Anchor Point and then there's Anchor View and then there'll be like an Anchor Crest.
Terrace.
Anchor Heights.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Those
can get thrown
still,
into
I mean,
anything.
it's amazing they still work.
Yeah.
I think you got to pick a word.
Yeah.
There's lots
you just
of
get
words.
one word, Shepherd Heights, Shepherd Hill.
I mean, what did I text you about the community center at Saddlebrook?
Saddlebrook, yeah.
What does Saddlebrook mean to you? It's just a made up thing.
No idea.
But it's a neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm
Saddle is a really good neighborhood.
Someone could basically be like,
name.
I want to call this Onion Hills, and you're going to be an Onion Hill.
No, not onion.
Not onion. You can't. It's got to have more.
It's got to be more. It's got to be more
There's an
flowy.
Onion Hill
Yeah.
somewhere. I feel confident.
It's got to start with a. It's got to be a.
B.
It's got to be a compound word.
Compound.
It's got to be like it's
Yeah.
like.
water.
Watertown. Water.
Water.
Well, there is a Watertown.
But water view.
Waterview. Perfect.
Water Hill.
Waterview Heights.
Waterview. Oh, look at that! The jumbo neighborhood.
Water-
That's when it's two neighborhoods come
Yeah,
together.
wow.
It's Waterview Heights.
Waterview
A lot
Vista.
of
Yeah.
money in Waterview Heights.
Waterview Estates.
Yeah. Happer Heights.
Meanwhile, in
actually.
Onion Hills, poor.
Onion Hills would be terrible.
Yeah.
It's
Onion
it'd
would-
smell really bad.
Yeah, it's a bad, but you could do like Guava Hills.
Guava.
Yeah.
Guava seems like it'd be a little bit too difficult for
Sure.
people.
Yeah, maybe we're
They can't get
pushing
their
it
head
a little.
around it,
Yeah. You can't. Can you get your head around guava? Poll question.
Now, if you switch it up a little bit and you try to you keep some of the letters in there and you go with Agave Hill,
Agave.
that sounds fancy. As
That's a
What if you-
California neighborhood.
What if you just made up a word? Like
Ooh.
Brickwood.
Isn't that just putting two
Brickwood Village.
Well, how do you think?
What do you think about
Bricktown-
that?
Like,
or Brickyard?
You know.
Brickyard Heights.
I have what do you think about Brickwood?
I like Brickwood.
It's like brick and wood.
I
Yeah.
assume Brickwood already exists.
Absolutely. Brickwood Village is the next new neighborhood.
I'm
You
gonna
know-
search for
And
Brickwood.
Bennington.
You know what? Here's a small little like quaint town in Arizona, Prickly Heights.
Absolutely.
Prickly Hill, maybe. That's like in Colorado, like 3 hours away from Denver. It's like, yeah, we have a house over in Prickly Hill, and it's probably a lake. They got a man-made lake over there.
That's where the casino is in Blackhawk.
Yeah, Prickly Hill Casino. I mean, it just rolls off the tongue.
Anything can be a casino. You can throw casino behind anything and it works.
That's true.
Ooh,
Which is the one that the Diana
Onion-
Rossini and Mike Vrabel went to in Biloxi.
I can't believe they're in Mississippi of all places.
That's where you go when you're on the lam.
Oh,
If you're
you're
trying to
rating-
hide.
Oh,
You're rating states. How far down the list is Mississippi for their clandestine?
oh my
meetup?
God, like 48th. Like it
Is
is.
Nebraska higher on the list than Mississippi
Oh, but yes.
for a clandestine?
Actually, I
meetup?
bet they've been here. They probably went to the Cottonwood.
Oh,
I-
okay.
that-
I like this.
I mean, think about how many places they had to visit over the last 6 years of trying to hide this relationship.
That would be really funny is if this gets released once every day. There's a new state in which they have been.
they just did the ESPN 50 states in 50 days, but it was just over 6
I
years.
can't
of out of
wait.
there.
Derby, Kansas.
They were in Kankakee,
So-
Illinois.
Who releases the files of when they saw him in Omaha?
Oh,
Is it Grow Omaha?
little
Whopper,
bir-
whopper.
a little birdie told me they were in the American over by the Omaha
No,
Zoo.
That's some folks on the lam. That's
Yeah, you want to hide.
Yeah.
You go to the. You go to
One
the
of my
American.
previous employers would put me up at an American, and it's about as bad as you think that it is.
You know why? I went to an American in Brainerd, Minnesota, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty
Brainerd's a
bad.
good place.
Brainerd's awesome.
The lakes there, are
But they
fun.
can't go to any NFL towns. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
can't you have to go somewhere where people may not, they may just see you and say, that's just a normal couple,
Sure.
Or maybe they are cheating on their significant others, but I don't really have to care about it
yeah.
because they're not
That's
famous.
none of my
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So we,
right.
yeah, we should do a list of probable cities that
Seems
Rossini
like
and
they could go
Vrabel
to
have been
Orlando based on Scott Frost's comments because no one gets bothered there ever.
That's right. He'd go to Publix in peace.
You know what?
Orlando is the best place to have an affair.
They should go to the Wisconsin Dells. Half the people are having an affair there anyway.
Okay.
And half the time their spouses are with them.
I suggested the Poconos.
Hockey tournaments.
Okay.
So it was never a vacation. It was more of a we got to go and play 6 games in 3 days.
This is one of those places that I never went as a kid that I hear other people talk about, and I still have no idea what it is.
Mhm.
Like
Well,
when they talk
it's a
about
bit-
it, it's
yeah.
either a lake or an amusement park
No.
or something.
So the Wisconsin Dells is a conglomerate of hotels that have really good water parks. So it's one area that has a bunch of different hotels that all have big water parks. So
I thought it was a water park.
No, it's not. The
Yeah,
Wisconsin
it's like an amusement
I
park.
thought it was like Worlds of Fun.
Yeah, that. basically.
The Wisconsin Dells
But
is
with
not.
water
With
surrounding.
oceans of fun.
Yeah.
No, the Wis Dells is not one
Good place.
singular hotel.
Interesting.
It is. There's a bunch of different hotels in the Dells, and some like there's one that's like there's like Wolf's Run or Wolf's Wolf Lodge.
Great Wolf Lodge?
Mm.
That's like a big one over there.
Used to have one of those.
There's definitely a power ranking of tiers of hotels in the Dells, right? There definitely are
Hotels in the Dells.
there's definitely S tier
Hotels.
hotels and there's like D tier. You should city of the week with the Wisconsin Dells.
Okay.
That'd be a great one for you guys.
We'll consider it.
That'd be if you got the mayor of the
obviously
Dells.
spend a lot of time thinking about who gets to be city of the day on Friday.
Yeah.
Definitely not something that we just magically decide on Thursday.
Mike goes upside down pineapple Dells. Loki.
If you know, you know.
That's for the.
Yeah.
I've seen this.
Like I said,
I've heard about
if
this.
Rossini and Vrabel ever went to anywhere in Wisconsin, the Dells would make sense.
You think they went on a cruise?
Had to. Get into international
The
waters.
cruise, there's no escape.
Yeah, no
though.
escape. If someone outs you, you're
Now I'm hoping
stuck.
they went on one of those Viking river cruises over in Europe.
They had to go to the party that one night.
Do you think there's a picture of them on a Disney cruise with Mickey Mouse? You know, Mickey, Minnie, Diana, and Mike all together.
There has to be more photos. That's
Come
all I'm
float
saying.
down the blue Danube with me, Gary Saddlemeyer.
You think they went to the Lake of the Woods?
Oh yeah, maybe they went to the Ballards.
Yeah,
It's like a murder coach.
They love fishing.
They do in Ontario.
I'm telling you, man.
Want to get paid?
They went to some other places, and it's only a matter of time before we get. I think the pictures come out at about 2:30 or 3 every day. So
It would be amazing if it's just
Setting
like
clocks.
a daily at 2:30 every day for the next 50 days. You're getting one spot
yeah,
in every state of where they were at.
Did you see TMZ claim that like the person who took the picture of them in Biloxi, Mississippi, just took a picture of them, had it there forever, and then they saw everything that was going on? They're like, "Oh my God, wait,
yeah. Which
picture."
means there's 9,000 more pictures.
Because Diana is right. Mike Vrabel is a big guy, and you see Mike Vrabel somewhere. Mike Vrabel's the type of guy where you see him, and even if you have no idea who he is, you go, "That guy did something."
They were not shy at all. They were making out at a bar in Tribeca when the world ended. Just making out.
I love.
Well, they thought the world
that
was
would be
ending.
their last time.
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Bishop yesterday after the crossover, like when him and Peterson were just talking about it the whole day. John loves saying Tribeca, like every opportunity that he could to say Tribeca.
He knows the area.
He just kept saying Tribeca Heights, Tribeca Hills.
No, definitely. Those would be neighborhoods
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Tribeca's a great name. I might name my kid Tribeca.
Boy or
Tribeca girl.
Okay.
Tribeca McMaster.
That would be stupid. Don't
Call
do
her
that.
Try.
You
know
need to
what?
ask the woman that
I gotta
is
be
mothering
honest.
the child if she is sleeping with a man named Tribeca.
Good point. Good
Or
point.
yeah, I mean Tribeca is just a combination of a bunch of different things, like all of the neighborhoods in New York are. So why don't you just like come, whatever your wife's name is Allison.
Yeah.
So your name is Matt Al.
Malison McMaster.
Yeah, and then throw a third person in there too, and then that's the name.
Yeah,
of the kid.
Malison Michael McMaster.
There you go.
God.
Could be innovative.
Very, or just name my kid like Waveland.
You could do that.
Yeah.
This is
You
my
could-
daughter
or just
Wrigley.
Name him a normal thing.
Pete.
Yeah, Pete.
Pete.
Pete's a great name.
Yeah.
Pete is a very good name. That's the crossover. Powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. Middays with Matt. Coming up next here in the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call. Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays Matt live and rolling here on a Friday at the 1620 The Zone studios in Omaha. Matt McMaster is always joined by Josh Odson on a very nice day here in the Metro and a very hectic, sporadic, crazy draft that happened yesterday in Pittsburgh.
It was like, let's make a deal.
Dude, it was awesome. I don't know, maybe I got this wrong and Bish and Peterson can yell at me, but I'm pretty sure they were doing their picks for the draft, and I think one of the lines they had was over under 1.5 trades in the first round.
Whoa.
It was like, it's going to be way more than that. I think a proper line heading into the draft was about 3.5, and we got way over that. So a fun draft happened yesterday. Brett Veach was right. Brett Veach told everybody, hey, this is there's going to be a lot of teams trading up, trading down. I'm excited for the fans and what they're going to be able to experience. And then he did it himself. You know, it was one of those things where it's like, get ready, guys. Some teams are going to be trading. And then he's the one who traded. The Kansas City Chiefs did something that this show, Matt McMaster and Josh Odson predicted. They went up to 6. That was a spot that Cleveland, which has been rumored to try and get out of for quite some time. But the Chiefs took advantage of being a pretty high draft pick, something that they haven't been in a very, very long time, as they've been a dynasty winning Super Bowls, very used to picking in the late 20s and early 30s in the top 10 for the first time. And I think all the way back to when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, trade up to 6 to get Mansour Delane out of LSU to fit the hole that was left by Trent McDuffie going to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams had quite the day taking Ty Simpson, and we're going to have a long conversation with John Bishop about a take that went awry for him. But it was a fun draft yesterday. We'll talk all about it throughout the show. I want to get it out of the way now. We're not going to do like a segment in the middle of the show about it, but I just want to talk to ESPN real quick because that's the draft coverage I watch. Now, I did have a fun time this morning waking up and seeing all the different clips from all the different draft shows that went across the country. Saw some clips from the McShay Show, saw some clips from Barstool Sports, got a little bit of the taste of what the NFL Network was doing over there.
That's what I was watching.
I watched the ESPN coverage. Now, granted, I watched it at a bar, so it was whatever was available to us.
They had it on ESPN, sure, yeah.
So that's what they had it on, and that's what we watched. Some programming notes, okay? Some programming notes here. Guys, let's pick up the pace a little bit.
You cannot be 3 picks behind.
Come on.
You can be 1, maybe 2 if there's a log jam. You cannot. They were laughably behind.
And it was one of those things, too, where the idea was, okay, 8 minutes, 2 less minutes than any time else that we've had in the NFL, right? Used to be 10. Now we're going to bring it down to 8. It should be quicker. It was not quicker. I mean, it took us an hour to get through like the first 7 picks of the draft. It was ridiculous. And look, I understand you want to take your time, especially in those first top 5 picks, right? These are potential Hall of Famers.
Tuning in for, right?
All the casuals. I don't know how many casual people who watched the NFL draft really knew who Blake Miller was, or did they know who Monroe Freeling was, or did they know who Chris Johnson out of San Diego State was? A lot of the casuals don't know that. But the casuals know about this Arvell Reese cat. They know about Sonny Styles. They know about Jeremiah Love and Carnell Tate and Fernando Mendoza. So I understand you taking your time through that. But once we get past 7 or 8, come on. We don't need a package for every guy. We don't need, to tell the life story every single time. We can give a blurb, show a highlight, and then, hey, if you've gotten far enough ahead to where you can burn, here's a great idea. You get far enough ahead to the point where you're like, oh, we're ahead. We can burn some time now. Then do a package. then talk about somebody a little bit more, then tell a story. Not every, like, you know, and also too, I can't get mad at the NFL insiders for tipping picks or tipping trades when the broadcast is that far behind. Because I can't expect Ian Rappaport to not do his job.
Sure.
That's his job to report it. Now, if we're all caught up and like ESPN isn't any picks behind and they're just tipping picks, could be like, oh, I got it first. Look how much I know. That's annoying. But if you're that behind on the broadcast, you can't tell these people not to do their job.
And on the flip side of that, when you are 3 picks behind and the pick has been tipped, and I hate when the host of the draft, like Rich Eisen or whoever was doing it for ESPN last night, goes, Saints, the pick is in at number 8. Could this be Jordan Tyson?
Okay. So Kuiper was doing this thing yesterday where he would give you 2 names. And the second name was always the guy. And so when he said, he was like, could be Omar Cooper, could be Kenyon Sadiq for the Jets. I'm like, all right, here comes Sadiq. Like, he did it multiple times yesterday. So anyway, look,
tiny little bugaboos.
Just tiny. Just get ahead of it. Now, I was watching with Tim Verghese and I watched the draft together.
Timmy V.
It was awesome. Tim is so smart. And like Tim knew some of these guys like from high school, like scouting these dudes all the way back when they were like
a thing to have in your ear sitting next to you. Yeah,
big time. And like, and that's why I watched it with Tim, because I wanted some background. And a lot of the guys, especially the ones who came from Texas, that's where Tim is from. He had incredible background on like what their story was. Actually told me a couple stories about Jordan Tyson and the things that, you know, he went through. I mean, he was with Colorado when Deion showed up, and then he ended up having to go to Arizona State. But I had to yell at Tim multiple times. Not yell at him, but he was on his phone, and he was like, think it's going to be Delane here at 6. I go, Tim, stop looking at Twitter. Stop.
Oh.
Stop. So, and he was a great sport about it and didn't, but because I want to know what the pick is.
I want the
or what the
to
trade is. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is an old man take, but it's a fact. The draft was so much better before Twitter, you know, when it was like live in action. And we didn't even, I guarantee you, we probably were 3 or 4 picks behind back in 2012 or 13 or 14.
But we were dumber.
But
and
we
were
didn't,
okay with it.
We didn't know. We had no idea. You know, it was just one of those things where it's just like you rolled with the punches. Now you're right. We just know so much more. And we know like how just tedious things are when it comes to the draft. It's them going.
Everybody's got a job to do.
Yeah, they got to do it. But it was a little ridiculous. Yesterday. You know, probably shouldn't take close to 3.5 hours to do 32 picks. Probably could be a little bit faster. I did love, though, what they did for the Steelers. I did love Sticks. I loved Renegade. Them bringing Bettis up there was awesome. Thought there was some all-time player interviews, up at the microphone. Francis Mauigoa telling Jackson Dart he's going to die for him was pretty great.
It was so shocking at first. I was like, no, I don't like him saying that. And with a little time having passed, I love it.
There was another thing too, like when Reuben Bain got drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like he looked like he was going to kill somebody. Like he was just, he's just such an intense human being. What? He just was very intense.
Reuben Bain. Looked like he was going to kill someone.
Sorry. I didn't put that together. That was a mess. That was tough. I meant like,
I know what you mean.
He had a stare, But anyway, there was. Never mind. We won't get into it. Anyway, there was
I heard the Bucs had to pick him because he's not allowed to leave the state of Florida.
There was a tweet from like the Tampa Bay, like before the draft, like the Tampa Bay County, the sheriff's county office, like had a tweet that they were like, can't wait to meet the new Buccaneer. That was,
oh no.
Yeah. In particularly, they actually were like, can't wait to meet the new Buccaneer and for them to take a safety driving course is actually what the tweet was. Yeah. Yeah. That was pre-draft. So anyway.
A lot of people said stupid things pre-draft. Imagine sitting in the very chair you're sitting in, Matt, and saying, there's no way the Rams will take Ty Simpson. Imagine saying
You know what?
that.
Why didn't we put 10 toes down on it? Because we brought it up 2 months ago that might be something they could do.
We did say look at the Rams to take
we
a quarterback.
We said it's a
and have them
wild card
sit.
pick.
Mhm.
You know, they could have. Now we're gonna dive in deep. We're gonna dive in very, very deep to the Rams and their decision, because Sean McVay could not hold it in. It could not be made more clear to anybody. You don't even need the body language police or the body language experts.
You don't need anyone from the Today Show to come in and be like, science tells me he looks unhappy there.
No, he was not. And then you even hear like him on the phone with the young man, and it's just there's been some, like, Sean McVay's had some pretty like fun phone calls with guys being like, I can't wait to get you. This is gonna be great, man. Can't believe, just like we thought it would be. And then like this one was a little bit more, laid back and maybe not as excited. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that decision from Les Snead, because I think it's pretty clear that was a Les Snead decision. I kind of understand both sides of it. I totally understand why Les Snead did it. I totally understand why Sean McVay is not very happy about it. I totally get that. I totally understand that. And so we'll dive into that. We'll dive into the Cleveland Browns. We said, like, they screwed the pooch a little bit with the whole Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders taking 2 mid-round quarterbacks. It seems like it was pretty clear that maybe the league made a call to Cleveland to be like, hey, we got to end this. Just bite the bullet and draft this guy, whatever. But they drafted Harold Vannon Jr., who was one of the biggest skills in the draft at the tight end position. They went ahead and they had Mason Graham, who had a really, really good year. And then they got Quinshon Judkins, who is going to be one of the best young running backs in the league next season. Like they had a really solid draft last year. They had a really good draft yesterday. Once again, I don't know if I'm ready to like live in a world where my day one winners were the Jets and the Browns. What are we doing?
It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right at all. Mm-hmm. But they killed it. They both did a great job. Casey Concepcion and Spencer Fanu, when they get a new quarterback, when they get their young new quarterback, are going to be some great resources for that young quarterback to have. Fanu, obviously with the arm length, not where you want it to be from an offensive tackle perspective, but like everywhere else, he's probably the safest pick on the board outside of Jeremiah Love. And they traded back and they still got him. Like, there were mock drafts where they took Fanu at 6. They were able to get him at 9. And so I think it was a hell of a job there for them to move back and grab him. And then Casey Concepcion, is he at the level of, these top A-tier wide receiver prospects that we've seen in the past? No, but we're seeing this development of, the evolution on defense has been these bigger dime packages, right? And the evolution on offense has been, the run game has definitely exploded in terms of creativity, and more beautiful offensive minds are really hammering into it. Sean McVay, Mike LaFleur, Ben Johnson, Matt LaFleur's done it a lot, where it just seems like their run games are on a whole other level. But then outside of that too, you see just the importance of the slot wide receiver and how it's just Amon-Ra St. Brown over in, Detroit. There's a value to having a slot wide receiver that you just give the ball all the time. Casey Concepcion fits that kind of mold of, you're going to give 122 targets, 130 targets in a year to a guy like that who is so explosive off the line. And just, you watch Concepcion's tape, the way that he explodes out of cuts, right? Especially from that slot wide receiver position. He's a little smaller, he can get pushed off the line and rerouted, but I think Cleveland killed it with their 2 picks. And then what the Jets did, man, like, I would have taken Reese. I think Arvell Reese is just a straight up better football player. And I do worry about, having, they got McDonald, on one edge, and he's not very good at defending the run. And David Bailey definitely, there's some things to be wanted from his effort in the run game, but you get a guy who, David Bailey seems destined to be a double-digit sack guy for multiple years in his career. You pair that up with an absolute freak in Kenyon Sadiq, who is just a blue-chip tight end prospect. And then on top of that, they almost took Omar Cooper Jr. over with the 16th overall pick. They're able to get back into the first round and take the wide receiver out of Indiana with the 30th overall pick. And he is kind of a perfect fit next to what they have with Garrett Wilson, just because Cooper is that type of strong catcher, aggressive to the ball, going to be an extension of the run game from a blocking perspective, where he's just gonna give a ton of effort and really expand their run game just because of how good of a blocker he is on the outside. And so, I mean, look, if you're going to win the first day of the draft, you got to have multiple picks.
Well, this was a draft where if there's a guy you like, go get him, because there's not a lot on the back half of this draft.
And once you get out of the blue chips, I mean, a lot of these prospects kind of mold together in a way, and that's why you had some guys like Caden McDonald who get invited to the draft to the first round, and he's mocked to go a bunch of different places, and then he ends up falling into the first round or falling into the second round. And then I can't believe Dylan Tiedemann fell to the Bears. I mean, I feel great about that. I wanted Emmanuel McNeil-Warren for the Bears, the safety out of Toledo, just because I thought Tiedemann wasn't going to be there. I was like, we need a safety, and I thought Tiedemann was going to go to the Vikings or the Panthers. They both pass up on that, and the Panthers take Freeling, and then there's a lot, in the CBS in particularly is kind of crapping all over the Vikings pick. Schaefer might be in his car. I didn't tell him this personally. If you are Schaefer, thank you for listening. I love the Vikings pick. I thought Caleb Banks was a hell of a pickup for the Vikings. And yeah, like, is there the question mark of him staying healthy? Sure. But we talked about it yesterday. Things you can teach and things you can't teach. You can't teach 6'6", 330 pounds. I mean, he's got the size. He's going to eat up the interior offensive line. He's going to force some double teams. He's going to open up things for the really good linebackers of the Minnesota Vikings, go and clean things up. So I think there are a lot of teams that had some really interesting drafts, and it's going to be an interesting day 2 and day 3. Now, look, winning day 1 is big, and winning day 1 is great in doing that, but you win Super Bowls on day 2 and day 3 of the draft. You win Super Bowls by finding the diamonds in the rough. You win Super Bowls by getting your Kareem Hunts. You win Super Bowls by getting your Puka Nakuas and getting your Antonio Browns in day 2, and by getting your Tom Brady's, right? And by getting your the dudes that people overlook, right? I mean, you get your Richard Shermans and your Russell Wilsons. And so it's one of those things where day 1 is exciting and day 1 is great, and we all get very hyped up about the guys who are most likely to be in Canton one day out of the class being taken. But if you're going to be a championship team, you do it by getting a lot of work done here in these next 2 days. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some things that can happen in day 2. We'll talk about some more things that happen in day 1. In particular, talk about the Rams and their decision. I'm not going to put an adjective on it yet. I'm not going to call it a good or a bad or a questionable or an interesting. I'm just going to say we'll talk about their decision to take Ty Simpson 13th overall in this draft. It was a guy, by the way, that a lot of people thought might fall out of the first round. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Nebraska basketball picking up another commitment in the transfer portal, along with, it seems like there's a lot of movement here to get this 5 seasons to play 5 years eligibility rule done heading into this upcoming NCAA season, which would bring back Jamarcus Lawrence. Also could potentially bring back Josh Dix for Creighton men's basketball. So we will see what happens there, but it seems like there is some major momentum to get that done. We'll also talk about Nebraska softball finishing up their regular season homestand, or regular. They have the last home series in the regular season coming up this weekend. We'll also talk about a little Nebraska baseball going to Champaign, Illinois. Emma Johnson slated to get drafted here in these next 2 days, whether it be in day 2 or day 3, anywhere between back half of round 3 and early parts of round 4 seem like the consensus decisions. Now, here's the thing, though. Jadarian Price going 32nd overall does Emma Johnson some wonders, okay? Just because there's a running back that people had mocked to go 51 to Minnesota in the second round, now off the board at 32. We'll see what happens now. I think Emmett definitely has a better shot of getting in to the second round just because now you have a running back who was above him. The consensus was that he was above Emmett Johnson, now taken off the board. So I think Emmett now has a better shot at sneaking in to the second round. We'll see, though. It all comes down to boards, and it all comes down to fits, and it comes down to value, right? There are going to be some teams that might have Emmett Johnson as their third running back. There might be a team that had Emmett Johnson as their second running back, and maybe it's a moot point that Price went 32nd overall. There might be some teams that have him as their fourth or fifth running back, right? I mean, these boards, especially in this draft where it seems like a lot of the talent is pretty consolidated, it just depends on the evaluation and fit process. It was a little disappointing that Love went to Arizona just because I thought that could have been a really good fit.
Oh, what a wasted career. Feel sorry for
Yeah.
Jeremiah.
I did think that too. It's like, dude, if that dude was a Cowboy, or if he was a Patriot, or if he was maybe like a San Francisco 49er, you're like, oh my God, those jerseys are hot. He's going to go to Arizona. Hey, he's going to have a great career, though. He's going to make a crap ton of money and be in a phenomenal state in terms of, real estate and weather. Going to get a ton. But got to feel bad for Tyler Algier. Signed with Arizona thinking like, all right, no more Bijan Robinson. I'm the guy now. I'm going to be given the keys to the kingdom. And here comes Jay Love. Feel great, though, for Caleb Downs. Holy crap. He's going to make so much merchandise money. That is going to be a hot jersey. And he is one hell of a player. Great draft from the Cowboys. Just trading up, by the way. Cowboys, they finally did it. They never trade up in the first round, even though they traded up one pick and then
Nick
they traded
Saban
back.
did not like the pick.
Really?
He was caught on a hot mic saying that's a reach.
Whoa.
And everyone else, like unanimously across the board, was like, bravo, Dallas, bravo.
Wait, Nick was talking about Caleb, though, and he was like, I love this kid. This kid was one of my favorite guys at Alabama, and he was awesome to coach, and his mom makes great white chicken chili. That was what he said about him on the broadcast. You're saying there was a hot mic calling him a reach?
Wow, this is a reach. Nick Saban reacts.
Oh, my God.
Called the Cowboys pick a reach.
It was his former player. He coached Caleb Downs. Oh, that's quite incredible. Two-faced Nick.
Oh, he called Malachi Lawrence a reach.
There
I'm
you
sorry.
go.
I'm sorry, everyone.
I was not saying, no way he called Caleb Downs
an idiot.
a reach. Malachi Lawrence was a reach. I asked. He was a reach.
Taking any Scott Frost player in the first round historically seems like a reach.
It was. Do you know how great it was having Tim Verghese next to me? Josh text. I go, what are you going to do?
Well, you wouldn't get the Cowboys draft picks confused on the radio.
No, but I asked Peterson, I go, what are you going to do at 20? And he was like, oh, they traded back to 23. I'm seeing they're going to take Malachi Lawrence. What do you think of him? And I just turned to Tim. I go, hey, what do you think of Lawrence? And he just gave me his whole bio. and I was just like, and Tim was talking to me, and I was just texting. I was just like, and by the way, I did credit Tim in Peterson's text. So we'll talk about the draft, talk about day 2, talk about the Nebraska prospects. CJ McCollum turning back the clock. Love to see it. Screw the Knicks. Talk a little bit more hoops about Nebraska basketball, along with other things that are going on across the country. Great show for you today here on Middays with Matt. The Foo Fighters are here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Got a loaded show for you today. Brian Christopherson will join us at 11:30. Austin Jacobsen, the jewel of Kearney, Nebraska, some are calling him, will be joining us at 1 o'clock. We have some fun segments for you as well. At 12 o'clock, we will have This Week in Women's History. Either at 11:40 or 12 o'clock, we'll have This Week in Women's History. We want to apologize to Alex Sindelar. No odd news today, unfortunately. No odd news.
Second day in a row.
I know it'll come back.
Wow.
Okay, just busy. It's draft day.
Oh, you make time for the things that are important to you.
Well, This Week in Women's History is one of the things that is important to us. So we are making time for that somewhere around the 11:45, 12 o'clock mark. We'll see how much time we have left after BC's interview. And then we will go ahead and have balls at 1:20-ish today, where Josh will go ahead and break down everything that's happening in the MLB this week and what is upcoming this weekend from our Major League Baseball analyst and expert, Mr. Josh Odson. We want to remind you to call in to the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. 402-951-1620 is the number to call and the number to text. That's 402-951-1620, the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Prairie Flower Casino, play longer, win more. And don't forget about the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Equitable Bank, they take banking personally and always pick up on the first ring. Old Man Doug, shout out. And you can always reach us on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. We had some fun yesterday on Twitter, just a lot of crazy things that were going on. One of the crazier things, and one of the things that we had a ton of fun with, was the Los Angeles Rams drafting Ty Simpson, number 13 overall. The Los Angeles Rams heading into this year's draft, they were kind of heralded as the wild card. And the reason why they were heralded as the wild card was because their roster's pretty loaded. I mean, their roster's pretty damn good, man. Like, they have, one of the best offenses in terms of quarterback to dual wide receivers, and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, along with having what I think is a criminally underrated running back core between Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, which shout out Notre Dame running backs, man. Kyron Williams, obviously a former member of the Fighting Irish, but then yesterday, Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, the dual tandem running backs for ND last season, both going in the first round. Some really impressive stuff. And then also, too, to have Jerome Bettis up there while that's all happening was really cool. So as much as it pains me in my core to say it, what a hell of a night for South Bend, Indiana. But the Los Angeles Rams were the wild card, right? Because they are tied along with the Seattle Seahawks for having the top odds to win the Super Bowl at plus 950. And, then that's dating back to February. But it's one of those things where they could have really done whatever they wanted with that pick. Like, they could have added to that roster. They could have added Mekhi Lemon. They could have maybe added some depth on the offensive line. They could have maybe tried to beef up their interior offensive line. Like, they had a lot of different things that they could have done, and yet they decided to go and draft a guy that they're not going to use this year. Ty Simpson is not going to be playing for the Los Angeles Rams this season, and he may not even be the backup for the Rams this season. He may be behind Stetson Bennett, or there's been a lot of talk of Sean McVay actively wanting to re-sign Jimmy Garoppolo. So they used the 13th pick, a pick that they could have used to add to this roster that already is one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. According to DraftKings right now, they are the favorite at plus 800. Behind them, plus 1,000 is the Seattle Seahawks. And they decided, nope, we're not going to add to the roster. We're not going to add an impact player that could immediately affect our chances to win the Super Bowl. We're going to go ahead and look for the future. And Sean McVay, look, I'm no body language scientist. Okay. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. But I think that just watching his draft press conference after they took Simpson, you could tell he wasn't very happy with this selection. And here's a quote from him. McVay goes, "Let's make one thing clear. This is Matthew's team. You get a chance to be able to address the backup quarterback. We've got Stenson. We've talked about the importance of Jimmy. To be able to add somebody that you can evaluate a body of work where he was asked to play the position and a lot of things that do translate in terms of concepts, reading with his feet, some of the different things in the drop back and the play action game and the movement game." He basically was like, we got our backup quarterback and we were trying to bring in Jimmy to be our third guy. And, we're going to bring in this guy. We'll evaluate him, whatever.
But also we are in win now mode.
He didn't like the pick. And Kay Adams, a couple of, I think it was about a week ago, asked him about Ty Simpson. And Sean McVay was like, honestly, I haven't done a ton of homework on him, is one of the things that he said.
Ouch.
So there was a definite disconnect between what the GM Les Snead wanted and what Sean McVay wanted. And I understand why Sean's mad. I understand why Sean may not like this pick. We got a 13th overall pick, man. We got a chance to go in the Super Bowl. We got a chance to get an impact player. We got a chance we're in a very tough division. We got to play two great teams 4 times this year in the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. We need all the help that we can get, and there are some other things that we still could do. And I understand Les Snead saying, look, Matthew Stafford is not the long-term answer for the Los Angeles Rams. This guy had some elbow issues a couple of years ago. This guy had a back problem heading into last season, right? And we got to start. We are in a position now where we have a roster. You got Devontae. You got Blake Corum. You have investment on the offensive line. You got Jared Verse. You got Trent McDuffie. You got Quentin Lake. You got the guy who, I forget his name, who made the interception against the Bears. That
Oh no,
son of a gun! But they re-signed him too. Cam Curl is his name. That's his name. Like, I understand Les Snead being like, you need more. Like, you need more to win the Super Bowl. I thought you were the best coach in the NFL. You got what you need, man. We gave you all the tools. Like, we have to make sure that the future after Matthew Stafford is secure. We have to make sure that after our old quarterback is done, we don't go through this awkward transition phase like the Pittsburgh Steelers are going through right now, where they can't find the guy after Ben Roethlisberger. Okay? We got to make sure that we have, because the quarterback position is by far the most important position in the NFL, and it's probably one of the most important positions in sports. We got to make sure that's secure. And we got to make sure that we're doing all this F them picks and we're being all aggressive and we're trading all our future draft capital. We got to make sure that when we have draft capital now, that we spend it to secure the prospects that we like, because we may not have it in the future trying to win with you currently. And I kind of understand it, though, from McVay's perspective of like, dude, I may never coach Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson may never enter a season as the definitive starting quarterback of the LA Rams, and Sean McVay is the head coach.
That's an excellent point.
Like, there has been for years now the discussion of how much longer does McVay have. It is completely plausible that they win the Super Bowl this year and McVay says, I'm calling it quits. I'm done. 10 seasons, 2 Super Bowls. I did everything I needed to do. I made a ton of money. I'm very happy. I'm going to go and do TV now. That could be the life that Sean McVay picks. So I understand Snead saying, yo, dude, there's life after you. There's life after Stafford. We got to make sure we're okay with that life. And I'm totally understand McVay going, I'm trying to cement my legacy as a multiple Super Bowl head coach. And you had the 13th overall pick, and you picked a guy that I may not even coach as my starting quarterback one day. It doesn't sound when you go, hey, coach, you just drafted a quarterback in the first round. How do you feel? And you go, well, we already have our backup quarterback, and we're still interested in bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo. So, it'd be great to evaluate to see what Ty can do. Doesn't sound very exciting. Doesn't sound very exciting at all. And I you got to understand both sides, but It's just kind of how business is done. Let's talk about another pick that happened yesterday that had some people scratching their heads potentially. The Kansas City Chiefs were picking 9th overall yesterday. We talked about this on the show throughout the week. The prospect of the Chiefs moving up in the draft. Kansas City just has never really, ever since they drafted Patrick Mahomes 10th, they haven't been in this type of position to go ahead and get a big-time blue-chip prospect. And you got to think with Patrick Mahomes, who's on his way to becoming one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time, you got to think that having him as long as you're going to have him for the foreseeable future, that you're not going to be in this position a whole lot to be picking in the top 10, but more importantly, to be only 3 spots away from moving up to 6th, right? If the Kansas City Chiefs in the future are going to move up to pick 6th, they're going to have to pay a pretty hefty price, right? Because you're going to be moving from 22 or 25 or 28 or 29. You're only moving up 9 to 6 years. So we circled this on our draft sheet, honestly, of, hey, this is something that they could do. And they did it. Now, the prospect that they chose is very interesting.
That's not who I thought they moved up to get.
The assumption was Sonny Skiles. I was talking to Tim yesterday, and Tim was putting on his evaluation hat and tell me about all the different things he thinks that Sonny Skiles can do. And Tim's in love with Sonny Skiles, and I go, Tim, look at that guy. That's what they look like.
He looks the part.
Like we can talk about, he's really explosive and he turns his hips and he's got great bend and look at his he's under 1.6 on the 10-yard split in the 40, and that's the number that Bill Pullman, you can say all that stuff, or you could just look at the guy and be like, no, when we put gold jackets on guys, we put gold jackets on guys who look like that, right? That's just what Sonny Skiles is. And so when Kansas City goes up to 6, there is the push and pull of like, do they need a guy like Skiles? Or do you just like, hey, we just got to get this type of dude. And they end up getting Mansour Delane. Now, Delane was the number 1 corner on basically everybody's boards. And we'll see what happens with Jermod McCoy, because that was the guy who was supposed to compete with Delane in terms of having that distinction as the best cornerback in the draft. But obviously, there's been some pretty big red flags when it comes to his injury reports. But people are like, you could have gotten him at 9. You could have gotten him at 9. Why do you trade up to get a guy that could have fallen to you? I don't know if I buy that. I said this the entire time. The New Orleans Saints were a very baffling team to me. I did not know what the Saints were going to do. That's just a team that, they don't have too many redeeming qualities on that roster right now. And there are some teams that were picking in the top 10 yesterday where you're like, oh, okay, they got an interesting roster now. Like, I think the Raiders, after all the work that they did in free agency, and now, still having Max Crosby and improving that offensive line, we'll see what they do with the rest of their picks in this draft. I think it'd be a really interesting and smart selection to take Elijah Surratt to go and repair him with his Indiana teammate Fernando Mendoza. But you look at a team like Vegas and you're like, all right, they could be somewhat competitive, next year. You look at Tennessee and you're like, all right, I like what Tennessee did this offseason. They might be picking maybe more towards the teens next year. New Orleans is a team you're like, yeah, they're probably going to be back next year. They're probably going to be in the, Arch Manning or CJ Carr or Dante Moore sweepstakes. But I didn't know what the Saints were going to do. And I don't think anybody really knew what the Saints were going to do. And I think that Kansas City's intel very easily could have indicated to them that, hey, if Delane is there at 8, that's who the Saints are going to roll with. And if you like a guy and it only is going to cost you a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick to move up a couple of spots to get him, go and get him. I mean, that is not a premium price whatsoever to move up a couple of picks to go and get your dude. And so that's exactly what they did. They picked Delane. Can you question the value? Right? Can you question, hey, was he really worth a top 6 pick? Maybe. But can you question the fact that he fills a hole and that he has the potential to be another impact? I mean, that is the real, the top thing that Like Kansas City, obviously, all the success that they've had has stemmed from their top three guys in terms of Jones, Kelsey, and Mahomes. But who has always been the fourth dude? Like who has always been the next guy for the Chiefs? It's been a top secondary player. It's been your Eric Reed. It's been your L'Jarius Sneed. It's been your Trent McDuffie, right? Once again, Veach and Reed have a formula, and taking a high level second, defensive back, taking a high level corner fits that formula. So yeah, can we get into the semantics of like, did they really have to make the move to get that guy? Sure. Did they just pick a really good prospect that fills their need and take advantage of being as high in the draft as they were? Yeah. Am I going to fault them for that? God, no. That's just drafting. That's just doing your job.
I thought they were going to start the run on tackles.
Yeah, I did too, but that run happened a couple of picks later with Fanu and then Maui Noah going back to back. The dog of the day I felt really good about with Monroe Freeling being the first tackle. I sprinkled a little bit on it. I told everybody not to be the fool and bet on the draft, and I bet on the draft. So who's the fool now? Freeling, though, pretty good pick by Carolina. Shocked by some of the things that happened, especially we never really had that true run on corners and defensive backs I thought we were going to have. Avion Terrell didn't get drafted in the first round. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren didn't get picked in the first round. Dylan Tieneman, man, like there are a lot of people who were very tuned in, who were confident that not only would he go in the top 20, that he might go even higher than that. And he fell all the way to 25. The Bears had I don't think they anticipated him falling to him. But then you kind of see the board figuring itself out. You're like, no, Pittsburgh's going to take a tackle here. And Dallas already drafted a safety. And, you're like Cleveland, I don't think they're going to take a safety. And all of a sudden it kind of just fell the way that it fell. And I was there screaming for the young man. It's like, give it to me. And they didn't. Very rarely does it happen where you're like, I really like this guy. I want this guy to be taken by my favorite team. And your favorite team actually does it. Let's talk about a favorite team, not of me, but of you, Josh Johnson.
Yes, please.
Before we get to Brian Christopherson here in a couple of minutes,
BC.
Brian Dable won the war.
Yeah, we talked about their draft room was probably a real push and pull between offense and defense. They went offense.
I like it.
The prevailing thought was they're going to draft Jeremiah Love because they need to get the offense going. And that's essentially what they did in drafting Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
Once Love was off the board, like, hey, we still need to get the offense going. What's the best player to get that going for us?
With Reese on the board, questionable decision.
Yeah, it was probably not the first Buckeye people thought was going to go.
Yeah. And I definitely do think there's a layered discussion to be had about need versus prospect. Reese, the better prospect than Tate. But I mean, if we're going down the line here, like Tennessee invested a lot in the interior defensive line. They invested a ton in the secondary. They put a lot of their chips, their free agency chips, in the defensive basket. I think it only makes sense to say, look at Cleveland last year. They had an awesome defense. What did that, do for them, right? What did that really? Cleveland had what? The Cleveland Browns had a Super Bowl level defense last season. They had a defense that was good enough to win playoff games last year, and they were picking sixth because they could not figure out the other side of the ball. And so I think that if you're looking at it from that perspective, hey, we invested a lot in this defense already. We have a defensive coach who this time, as opposed to the last time he was the head coach of another team, is going to be calling plays. We invested that money there. Let's invest draft capital elsewhere. And look, you want your rookie quarterback or your second-year quarterback to succeed and flourish into the player that you think he can become. And by the way, I'm so high on Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is going to be a star in the NFL. I mean, he has all the tools that you could possibly want, and really flashed them last season in Nashville. You want to give him the best opportunity to become the player he can be. go ahead and get a polished, blue chip wide receiver. Maybe not on the level of a Julio Jones or Amari Cooper type guy, but definitely a dude a tier under that. And Carnell Tate, who I love him. I think he's so good.
And
I watched a ton of that guy play. I think Carnell Tate is probably the guy I watched the most play out of all of these kind of top prospects. And I just was always taken aback by, he's got the frame, he's got the build, he's got the body, 6'3", I think he's like 220, or 200 pounds. Like he's built, he's strong, he's fast, his deep routes are phenomenal. Like, I'm just always super impressed by him. I thought there were moments where he was a little bit more new, because Jeremiah Smith is a freak. He's a freak. And Jeremiah Smith can just out athlete everybody on the field. But I do think that there were, like, Carnell Tate can't do that to the level of Jeremiah Smith. But there were moments where I felt like he looked like the best wide receiver on the field for Ohio State. And so I really like him. I really like the pick for Tennessee.
I mean, you got Calvin Ridley under you for one more year. Are you going to pay him what he's asking next off season?
And it's an interesting conversation to be had about the whole, like, oh, is it a reach? Well, if Cleveland was sitting there at 6, I think a lot of people would have thought that Cleveland might take him there.
Mm-hmm.
So is it really that big of a reach as if he's getting taken at 4, if we would have been A-okay if he's taken at 6? If anything, Delane is probably more of a reach at 6 compared to where he was at 9, comparison to where, Carnell Tate got taken at 4. It could have easily gone to 6. So it's one of those things where, was it outside the box and were a lot of people shocked by it? Yeah. Was it a good pick for a good prospect who is going to help a very important piece of your team get better? Damn right it was. So,
and then I was just about to turn the TV off at the end of the draft.
And then they got the guy,
turn back in. Who are we going after? Who are we going after?
Keldrick Falk is a guy, careful, who very polarizing prospect.
Yeah.
On Twitter, but definitely seems like there's a reason why he had a first round, a massive upside, not a ton of production out of Auburn, but we'll see what happens. I mean, they please both parties. Hey, Brian, you wanted your offensive weapon, you wanted an offensive piece, you wanted a guy who's going to help our quarterback take the next step. Here you go. Here's your wideout. Hey, Robert, you wanted another DN, you wanted somebody who could potentially get to the quarterback, who can kind of fill out your D line. Here you go. Right? Pretty good stuff from the Tennessee Titans. We'll talk a little bit more of the draft throughout the show. We'll touch on some prospects that might go in day 2, along with where's Emmett Johnson going to go? Where's Keshawn Singleton going to go? Where's Sierra Wright going to go? We have some information dropped in the latest Tunnel Talk from Husker Online and On3 that might preview where those players could potentially end up. We'll go through a couple of mock drafts throughout the day as well. But before we do all of that, let's talk to Brian Christopherson of 24/7 Sports here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
All right, so here's a reporter from the Rams Wire, a Los Angeles Rams website. Everything about the Rams can be posted at the Rams Wire. This is from Cameron DeSilva, at Cam DeSilva on Twitter. He reports, Ty Simpson said he's never met Sean McVay and that last night was his first time ever talking to Les Snead. His contact with the team was, quote, really brief, he said, according to Cam DeSilva. So another interesting wrinkle in what was a very interesting pick yesterday from the Los Angeles Rams. We are now joined by Minnesota Viking fan and writer for Huskers 24/7, Mr. Brian Christopherson. What do you think about your pick, BC, Caleb Banks?
Vikings fans are not happy about it. I'm not as hey, let's get the torches as everybody else up there, because I've seen this play out both ways before. I remember when the Vikings even drafted Justin Jefferson, there were some people who were like, I hate that pick and all that, and it turned out okay. So I'll hold my fire on that one, but it is a little dangerous when you're taking a guy number 18 who has had multiple foot injuries this year. So there's a little bit of concern, and it would be sort of the Vikings way now if he suffers sort of another setback and isn't available for a full year or something. That would be about on course.
Yeah, it seems like the medicals came back clean, because if they didn't, he probably would have ended up like Jermod McCoy, the corner out of Tennessee, who only who knows how far he might end up sliding in day 2 here of the NFL draft. Full transparency, BC, I love the pick. I wouldn't have minded if the Bears took him at all. Obviously, yes, you're right. The injury concerns are there, but 6'6", 330 pounds, super heavy hands, going to force a lot of double teams. You guys have some really good linebackers who I think going to benefit with having a guy like that in front of them. His pass rush can get better, but there's plenty of potential there. And a lot of the things that, even if he was injured or, even injury aside, like the things that kind of pushed him back are things that you can fix with some really good coaching. So I think as long as he can stay healthy, which, seems like a fairly big if, I think you're going to really, really like what he turns out to be. You just got to kind of cross your fingers and hold your breath.
Your Bears got the boy all the Vikings won.
I know, right?
It's safety Harrison Smith Jr. So
yeah, I liked it a lot, man. I liked it a lot. I didn't think he'd be there. It was crazy. Once you guys passed on him, you start doing the math, and you're like, Pittsburgh isn't going to take him, and Dallas wasn't going to take him, and maybe Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland was going to take him. I was like, he might end up getting there, and then Brian, it was like the first time in forever where I wanted the Bears to take a dude, and they actually took the dude I wanted. It was a surreal moment. So I think I think he's going to be a good prospect. If anything, that makes Vikings fans happy, or if that makes Vikings fans unhappy, makes me happy. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, you did that.
You
accomplished that. So good work by you guys.
Thank you. We'll see you. They got a big day today. Your guys, though, could end up, you think you're in Emmett Johnson spot? How would you feel if EJ ended up being a Viking, considering the fact that, you've written about him and you've seen him grow right in front of your eyes in terms of a guy who wasn't even offered by Minnesota to then being an All-American, and then on top of that, maybe even being a Viking? How big of a story would that be? And how much do you want it to happen as a Viking fan and a Husker reporter to have EJ don the purple and gold?
Well, that'd be awesome for Emmett, I think, just because of the hometown team, if that worked together and aligned. And I do think the Vikings have had some true interest in him. So it's definitely one of the teams to watch. And, on some, it depends where you look, but Emmett at this point is maybe like the second best available back on the board on a lot of mocks. And so I sort of am hard pressed. I know there were some who didn't have him going till having to wait till maybe early 4th round, but I think it's going to happen tonight. I would guess 3rd round with someone, but who knows? Maybe someone really takes the shine to him or has already and pulls the trigger earlier than that. I'm going to be happy though, Matt, for EJ, no matter where he ends up, because you talk about a guy who his tone was always the same from the first time I ever interviewed him. as a senior in high school. He had no really power conference offers until Nebraska came through the door. Ron Brown was actually the staffer who went up there and visited with him during that time. And he had that chip on his shoulder then. It wasn't some narrative that was formed over time, like a few years later. It was right off the jump. He thought he was better than people were recognizing. He believed in himself. And throughout his time at Nebraska, I give him a lot of credit for staying the course, even when he was sometimes third or fourth guy, even a couple years ago, he was still down on the depth chart before his rise. And so he's a great example that you don't see a lot of staying with one program, when it doesn't all fall your way in the first couple of years, especially at that position.
Great point.
And so everything about him and his story makes me root for him, and it makes it easy. He could go to your Bears, he could go to the Packers or Lions. I'm just saying that as enemies of the Vikings. But my point being, like, he could go anywhere, and I would be so happy for him because it's well earned.
It's a great point. We do see a lot of running back movement in the portal, and it could have been really easy for EJ to go, okay, not getting carries here. I can go somewhere else and I can figure it out, and the fact that he stuck with it, it's a phenomenal point from you. And, I think it's always been, I've never heard anybody who's really reported on EJ or who's gotten to know EJ who hasn't said, how impressed they are by his character. And I think that's something that definitely is going to take pretty far, being in the league.
You know what else, Matt? This could be a small thing to people, but it's not to me. I've noticed this week, the week of the draft, he's been doing interviews with like local media and stuff, and still staying out there. That does not happen a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often anymore. And I think it seems like he's going to be able to be contacted by some of us after he gets picked. And I appreciate that a lot too. It's just sort of an understanding of people who were along the ride with you, how much this fan base cares about his success. And so he's doing it all the right way. And so hopefully he hears his name called tonight. I think it would be, I'd have to look it up for sure. First time if they got a player picked on Friday since I believe 2022 when Juergens and Taylor Britt both went in the second round.
Yeah.
So that would be a step for Nebraska.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't know if you're going to ask about this, but I do think last night, as far as we knew no Husker was going to get taken, but the fact that, Jeep Wade had his old lineman Rutledge from Georgia Tech taken 26. And then Chris Johnson, the corner who played at San Diego State for Rob Orich at 27, back to back. That's going to be useful to two new Husker coaches, like in, talking to prospects about guys they've developed, and also talking to your current players about look what can happen if you do it the right way.
Is there any concern for you that EJ might be the only Husker drafted? Is there any concern that might not be a great look for Rule in the program, considering the fact that they're in year 3 and you only have one guy go to the NFL?
I mean, it's possible. We'll see how it plays out. We've kind of been stuck on that for a while. So it's something where Nebraska's going to, it's a chicken and the egg thing. Like they're going to have to obviously win some more games. And that I think helps your cause. The one thing that's definitely happened. So like I'm in my 40s now. And so when I was younger and Nebraska was winning at a higher clip, there were guys who got the benefit of the doubt, I feel like, in the NFL draft. I don't want to take anything away from their accomplishment of getting drafted. That's unbelievable. But I do think there were some guys who got picked like in lower rounds back in those days who sort of, it was because they were part of that Husker program and people in the NFL like believed in it. And so Husker football got that benefit, and it showed in the draft. And sometimes in a draft year where maybe they would have only had 3 guys, maybe they got 5 instead because a couple guys went late because there was belief in the program they came from. And I do wonder sometimes, if the Huskers don't quite get that same benefit. Obviously, Rule's got connections. There's guys who have coached in the NFL over in that program, and so that can help. But this draft, yes, I am a little worried about what happens after Emmett. I think Singleton has a chance. Sierra Wright, maybe, I don't know, late. There's going to be some good free agency guys. Like, I think Henry Latofsky is going to get a opportunity with the team. And then, like Heinrich Harburg would be like an interesting guy for someone I think to take after the draft. So you hope those guys, whether they get picked or not, can make some hay, because Nebraska's list right now in the NFL is pretty lean. My colleague Bruns does a thing every week during the season about how Huskers did in the NFL, and there's just not enough names on there right now. And so it needs to be boosted. I think next year, if Elijah Pritchett has a really good year, he's the type of, has the traits to be really interesting in higher rounds. And then maybe some guys on the back end with like Andrew Marshall and, Dwayne McDougal. We'll see what he does. But yeah, it could be a kind of a quiet draft. I hope I'm wrong on that, though.
Well, I think that I think you can look at a team like Georgia, and there's a pretty linear pipeline of because they win and because they send guys to the NFL, they go to high schoolers and they go, hey, we win, and hey, we develop players better than anybody in the country, and we get them drafted, in the NFL. Come play for us. And they've been able to get some top guys at discounts because of that. And then you look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. They have 5 guys on that roster from Georgia, and they have 6 guys on that roster from Alabama. I don't think a guy like Howie Roseman, who is a very highly heralded GM, I don't think that's a coincidence that he goes and he identifies programs that win and programs that play at a very high level and says, all right, even when we get into the mid rounds, I want guys from that team. And so I think you're spot on. Like, there definitely are guys who play at Bama, play at Georgia, play at Ohio State, who go ahead and, are you more likely to take, if you had 2 even recruits, if you had 2 prospects that were completely even, but one played at Ohio State and played in national championship games and played in college football playoff games, or you had an even player from Vanderbilt, who are you more likely to pick? You're probably going to pick the guy who played at Ohio State. So I think you're totally spot on. And that's something that Nebraska is going to have to build from both ends eventually. Let's go ahead and talk about basketball.
Sure.
Kind of a late portal edition yesterday. Taj DeGorville from San Diego State University. Obviously, definitely more of a defensive guy, not the best shooter. What's your make on this kind of a later edition ad from the portal for Nebraska?
I think he fits really well as far as just like, he's going to come in to compete and try to play and all that stuff. But when you're in the portal nowadays, it's not just about is this guy going to start? We're trying to get a guy necessarily who's going to be part of our first 5 or even our first 7 in the rotation. You're looking for guys who can really stack like a competitive atmosphere in your practices, and they could push to be in the rotation. But let's say 1 or 2 of these guys like him or a Caden Betts doesn't crack the top 7 or 8. You still need guys like Kendall Blue was last year, for example, who are, great for your locker room and great for getting your team ready to be a Sweet 16 or better kind of squad. And so I think just from a depth competition standpoint, it's a really nice ad. And I don't want to sell him short either. Like, he played 19 minutes per game at San Diego State.
Yeah.
And I do think he has some traits that can really fit well, especially defensively, where this team obviously wants to stack on top of what they did last year on that end of the court. So I really like the pickup, and they still have 2 spots available.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's this fascinating storyline about the 5 for 5 thing. And like, does Nebraska just do the old Braveheart hold, where you're like, let's hold now and let's see where this goes. I think that you're going to see a lot of programs do that because there's going to be potentially, if that goes through, and it's got to happen fast, but it could happen in May, we're now hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, obviously that does open up a door for like a Jamarcus Lawrence or somebody like that, but also all sorts of interesting players across college basketball that would then have one more year of eligibility that are suddenly back on the market.
And it would be one of those things too, where you're right, where there would be some programs like Nebraska who've left that spot open for a guy like Lawrence, but there might be some programs where they don't have a spot open for their fifth-year senior to come back. And you're right. What does that mean? And maybe another late portal edition ad for Nebraska, who, by the way, DeGorville, 6'5", legit 6'5". So still adding. I mean, it'll be so. One thing I like, BC, is that I think Nebraska looked across the country and they looked across the teams who were winning, and they saw a lot of size and a lot of physicality. And now you're going to have a roster that's full of guys who possess that. So it's some good and smart moves. Well, one more point, but from what do you want to say here?
No, if I could add one more thing on Gorville, because I thought I was kind of acting like he was like a 10th through 12th guy. I don't know if he'll be that. I mean, the thing about him is he was a top 150 recruit 2 years ago, and San Diego State signed him like right after their run to the Final Four, when they had it in the championship. So he was a good prospect, and he played some minutes there. And like you said, he's got the size. I think he is a good defender. Probably a lot of guys that can have improved their shooting around Fred. And so I think at this point in the game, for what they already have, he's an excellent piece to like bring him in and let's go, roll the ball out there, and let's see who earns it now.
BC, you're the man. Always appreciate talking to you. We'll see you this time next week, my friend.
Yep. Thanks, Matt.
See you. Brian Christopherson is Brian Christopherson of Huskers 24/7. Coming up next here in 1620 Zone Radio Network, let's do a little car wash as to what is going on locally in college sports that you should keep an eye on this weekend here on Middays with Matt.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, do not forget to go to 1620zone.com and enter to win a bunch of contests, bunch of tickets. We're giving out Yachtly Crew, the Black Keys, the Young Giant, Chris Stapleton, Burt Kreischer, George Thorogood, and the Destroyers, whether they be at the Astro or at the Steelhouse or at Pinnacle Bank Arena or the Mid-America Center. It does not matter what concert, does not matter if it's comedy or music, doesn't matter what venue or what time of the year they might be playing. We have tickets for you. Go to 1620zone.com to enter into those contests, whichever one might fit your fancy. Maybe all of them fit your fancy. What might fit your fancy, or at least fits my fancy this weekend, is I'll be in Lincoln. I'm going to Nebraska softball tonight. Their last regular season home series of the year against Iowa. Senior day, I believe, will be on Saturday. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not entirely sure on that, but they're taking on Iowa. Right now, Nebraska softball 17-1 in the Big Ten Conference standings. One game ahead of UCLA and Oregon. So something to note here. UCLA's last 6 games of the season are against Washington, which is this weekend, and then with Oregon next weekend. Okay, so they're one game ahead of UCLA and Oregon, and they play UCLA and Oregon play each other next weekend, and then UCLA plays Washington, and they're 15-3, so they're only 2 games back of first place. So the Big Ten softball standings right now could get very interesting these last 2 weekends. Oregon plays 10-8 Ohio State at home this weekend until, like I said, next weekend they play UCLA. So the teams under Nebraska, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon, playing a bunch of games against each other definitely favors Nebraska, who takes on Iowa, who is in the back half of the Big Ten standings in softball this weekend. Nebraska baseball, they're going to Champaign, Illinois, starting tonight, 6 o'clock, first pitch, Big Ten Plus. This is really annoying when Nebraska baseball is one of the better teams in the country and has an opportunity to host a regional, and it seems like all their games are on BTN Plus. And it's like,
do they have any baseball on BTN?
Dude, I have no idea.
I know that they had UCLA Hawaii midweek game on.
Insane. It's just like,
I know they don't care about baseball.
Let me tell you this right now. Big Ten Plus is not, in my opinion, okay? Maybe if you really like wrestling, right? Or if you really like, non-con, women's basketball and stuff like that, like it works for some people. It just, for me, if you're only into baseball in terms of all of, like, really, really into baseball in terms of all of the other sports that they might provide, it's $13.99, man. It's a lot of money monthly, right? If it was $6.99 a month, you would make way more money off of me. You would make way more money. I'd pay $7 a month for Big Ten Plus. I'm not paying double that. I mean, that's just one man's opinion, but it's a little too rich for my blood, if you ask me. Creighton baseball, they are tied at the top of the Big East Conference standings in baseball. 7-2, along with St. John's at 7-2. St. John's playing Xavier this weekend. The Musketeers 9-3. They have a 75% win percentage. They're behind both St. John's and Creighton, who has a 78% win percentage in Big East play. Creighton takes on Butler at the Chuck this weekend. 5-4 are the Bulldogs. And then Omaha softball in action. They played North Dakota yesterday, and then they played North Dakota today at 3 o'clock. That's in Grand Forks. That was rescheduled from earlier in the year, where in the beginning of April, they were supposed to play those games, and they got rescheduled to yesterday and today. And then they have the weekend off until they take on Creighton over on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. So currently right now, Omaha softball at the top of the Summit League standings. They have a 3-game lead ahead of St. Thomas, who's 8-4. Mike Hurd has his team once again rolling and definitely on the road to another NCAA tournament appearance. Just super impressive what Coach Hurd has done over there at the Omaha softball program. It was a fun game, a record-setting crowd over there at Connie Glosson Field. It was a really, really fun atmosphere, and I just think the depth of Nebraska ended up overpowering Omaha. But those first couple of innings, man, those were fun. That was fun. That was a lot of fun over there. And that game at one point was 4-4. And so really impressed too. Just Omaha's ability to hit, especially early on against Alexis Jensen. So the Omaha softball playing today. No weekend game, though. They'll be back in action in Omaha on Tuesday against the Creighton Blue Jays. There's your little softball, baseball car wash there. Coming up next, let's learn about the women through the decades that I was not alive to see that impacted our culture greatly. This week in women's history. Coming up next here on Middays with Matt.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Couple of quick updates here before we get into this week in women's history. Did you see the whole Kyle Brandt, Seth Rollins thing?
Yeah, WWE needs to stop trying to. They did this last week during WrestleMania week where they'd have a wrestler go on a podcast and
Yes,
a fight would break out.
Yes,
quote
I
unquote,
saw
and
that. Yeah, the Usos with
Cameron.
and then what? Cody Rhodes messed up Pat McAfee's whatever. I don't think this is a WWE thing as much as I think this was just Brandt and Rollins, who are very good friends, having fun together.
Yeah, Rollins was on the show today. So.
So they basically were like, it was a work, that Rollins was mad at Brandt. Like they admitted it. Scott Docterman, writer, very, very well-known writer in college football, was like, if Seth Rollins is acting, he's really good. I'm like,
honey.
I'm like, Scott. That's the point, my man. That's literally what he does for a living. I don't
know who this is for, but like they need one of these to go viral, so they stop doing it.
Yeah. But Docterman being like, if he's an actor, he's really good. I'm like, Scott, I like Scott. I actually
he's great.
Yeah, he's a very good writer. My man, that's what he does. Dave Meltzer, by the way, gave out his rating for Reigns versus Punk. By the way, nobody on the radio knows who Dave Meltzer is other than Josh Hodson, me, and maybe a couple of people. Yeah, hunk of crap, Josh. It's a hunk of crap. He gave that 5. What, you want it to be in the Tokyo Dome?
I thought he'd give it 4.75.
Dude, I am so, that guy used to be like the godfather to me of pro wrestling. I used to live and die with everything Dave Meltzer used to do. And then it's just become so clear and obvious. Like I don't know. I just don't care anymore. I don't care. And it's laughable that got 5. But yet, Omega versus a broom on Dynamite gets 6.5. I don't care. I don't care anymore. By the way, all of those words made no sense to almost everybody who was listening to the show.
Hey, a couple minutes for us.
That's all we. You know what? We're lowering it a little bit. Used to be a whole segment for us. Now it's just a couple of minutes. Now let's do a couple of minutes for everybody. It's one of our favorite segments of the week. It's always fun, always educational. Everybody loves to get involved in terms of giving suggestions for Josh. I was born in 2002. There are a lot of women over the last 30, 40 years who have impacted our culture, impacted our society, and I am ashamed to tell you that I don't know enough of them. And so we take this time, we take about 10 to 15 minutes every week for Josh Hodson to educate me on the women who impacted our lives more than any here in society. It's This Week in Women's History. Josh Hodson, take it away, my friend.
So you mentioned a few weeks, probably months now at this point ago, that you were not familiar with John F. Kennedy Jr.
No, I did not. Yes, this was a big development for me that I did not know the tragedy that really was John F. Kennedy.
And again, we don't talk about him on a day-to-day basis.
No, we don't.
So I don't know when it would have come up, quite frankly. So I'm going to have our first lady be Jackie O. Google Jackie O.
Jackie
O, the letter O. She'll pop right up.
Okay. Yeah, this is Jackie Kennedy.
Okay, so you do know.
Yeah,
okay.
I know John F. Kennedy's wife.
Okay.
Now, here's the more important part. Her life before being Jackie Kennedy.
Sure.
Was that notable? Was she a real
boy?
Like, was she the Jackie Kennedy? This is a great question. Like, David Beckham marries Victoria Beckham.
That's right.
Okay. Now I learned Spice Girl, right? She was a big deal before David Beckham married her. Jackie Kennedy, a very big deal before she became Jackie Kennedy.
So she was an older people than me. Please feel free to correct me.
Oh, fair enough.
I believe she was a socialite of some kind.
Okay. Aren't they all?
Her last name was Bouvier, which the Simpsons stole and made Marge's maiden name Bouvier, just as a goof, just as an Easter egg, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know much more than that.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Good to know. All right, Jackie O. Well, very important in American history.
Very important.
Very
yes.
important. Okay. I know plenty about it.
Roughly, and I emphasize roughly, the same time,
Sure.
a woman came across the stratosphere, streaking across the sky like a comet by the name of Natalie Wood.
Oh, I do not know who this woman is.
Natalie Wood.
Great name, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Very strong. Think like any sort of nature-based last name.
Oh, okay.
Like you're like River Phoenix, like
Sure,
River,
sure.
like that's or anyone with a last name like Dam, like
It connotes strength.
exactly. I think nature. I think strong. Whoa, Natalie Wood. Okay. What is she a Bond girl? I'm just gonna guess she's a Bond girl.
Oh, that's a good question. A little bit of research might have helped.
On
the front end.
What was she really known for?
She was an actress.
Okay.
Let's see. She was in Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean.
Okay. It says here she passed away at the age of 43.
Yes, that is correct. That is maybe why she's most famous.
Okay. Why?
Most famous for dying.
How? That's so unfortunate. How did she? Was it a tragic passing?
It was a tragic passing. The short version of the story is drowning.
Okay.
The long version is we don't really know what happened. A lot of people think that guy from Austin Powers killed her.
Who's that guy from Austin Powers?
That would be Robert Wagner, number 2.
Okay. Why did you say he was number 2 in Austin? I never seen Austin Powers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Never. Now I know he's like, "Hey, baby," like that's
sure.
his.
You know the beats of,
and
Austin
he's got
Powers,
isn't it Mike Myers, right? Who does Austin Powers? Correct. Oh wow. Okay. Rob, I'm gonna be real with you.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look like a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down type of guy. Like he kind of intimidating picture here on his wiki page.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was married to Natalie Wood. Oh, wait. So he got married to Natalie Wood twice? What is it with these people, by the way? My grandparents did this.
Really?
Where they get divorced
wow.
and then they get remarried again.
Okay.
Why is this a 60s, 70s thing?
10 years apart. The Woods divorced.
Yeah, and then they got back together.
I guess not the Woods. It would be the Wagners, the Wagner Woods, the Wood Wagners, however you want to put it.
Probably Wagner. Wagner Wood sounds like the type of place you go on like your 4th grade, field trip to go.
Mom, we're going to Wagner Woods today. Pack a lunch.
We learned how to churn butter today. We learned what it was like to be in school in the 1760s.
Sure.
That's what it sounds like. Okay. So the theory, or is there like a Netflix documentary?
I imagine there are multiple.
Okay.
I know recent in the last 5 years or so, there was a Natalie Wood biography on HBO.
Sure.
I'm sure ID Discovery does one of these a week.
Okay. Now, Rob Wagner, still kicking, still alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's 96.
Yeah. This guy has lived one hell of and by the way, he was born in Detroit, Michigan in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be popping. I'm just being real, right? Detroit in the 20s and 30s and 40s, pretty big deal back then.
Sure, booming
at the time.
Yeah.
You think Robert Wagner's a big fan of the Bad Boy Pistons?
Actually, yes. Yes, I do.
You got to think he's a massive Bad Boy Pistons
because he would have been about 55, 60. So
he would have been waiting his whole life for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bet he's got a picture of Bill Lambier somewhere. You know what? Probably though, Robert Wagner, based on what you're telling me about, probably a Doug Mahorn guy, if I had to guess. if you know, or a Sally. Let's go ahead and do learned about Austin Powers today. That was great. That's the point of this thing. Okay, Natalie Wood. We got a text in actually.
A text
from 402-951-1620. That's the Prairie Fiber Casinos on hotline. Brian from Bellevue.
Hi, Brian.
Goes, Natalie Wood was not a Bond girl. She was married to Robert Wagner, who played number 2 in Austin Powers. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, you go on her wiki page, and the first thing that pops into my mind is this woman had to be a Bond girl.
I was pretty sure she wasn't, and then I saw the same photos you were looking
at,
and I go, she looks like a Bond girl.
That is a Bond girl. Mm-hmm. That's a Bond girl photo there. Yeah, that's all we have to say about that.
Mm-hmm. We'll do another one here.
Okay, go ahead. We got plenty of time.
In the news this week, Jamie Gertz.
Why do I know that last name?
Jamie Gertz.
Jamie, Jami.
That is correct.
Why are all these Hollywood people? They just be normal. Just spell your name normally. My God.
You know, I good take, Matt. I'm
This is
going to give that one
ridiculous.
to
You
you.
just don't have to.
Maybe you know Jamie Gertz
Oh!
because she's from Chicago.
There it is. That's what pops up. I was about to say I probably know a couple of Gertzes. Less Than Zero. Was
Lost
a
Boys
movie.
and Twisters. Twister, excuse me.
Oh,
Singular.
she was in Jurassic Park.
Yes,
Okay.
probably the two most famous projects.
She was in Jersey Girl. I thought that was Jersey Boys. Yeah, I know none of these movies.
That's okay. She is married to Tony Wrestler, not like a Seth Rollins wrestler, but spelled differently, who owns the Hawks.
Like the Atlanta Hawks?
That's correct. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Good for her. Good for him.
I believe I read this week she is worth $8 billion with
Whoa,
a B.
what?
Dollars.
Good God. So was she like super famous in the 80s and 90s?
Boy, super famous feels like a stretch, but
Yeah.
A popular girl, maybe not an it girl, but an
60
up and comer in the biz.
I'll tell you right now, 60, and she looks phenomenal.
Money will do that.
Yeah, that's it's pretty easy to see that she's worth $8 billion.
Also looks like she might own a piece of the Brewers.
That's ridiculous. Do you think she just got that for a Christmas gift?
Here, have the Brewers.
Honey, I said that I wanted. Honey, I know that you said you wanted to own a part of the Seahawks. I get it, but we couldn't make it work.
We'll get there, baby.
But I got you the Brewers.
Fans of this radio station may know Jamie Gertz best from the Stall episode of Seinfeld. Young Jamie Gertz could not spare a square.
Oh, she couldn't give a cigarette?
No. Elaine was looking for some toilet paper and
Oh,
asked the woman next to her, and she said, I
God,
can't spare a square.
I'm such a DJ. Thinking you go square, and I go cigarette. That happened to me. I found that out. That was a word when I was 13 years old, and I was hanging out with high school people, and they're like, "You got a square?" And I go, "A what? What do I?" They're like, "A Lucy." I go, "What is a What is that?"
That's what I was gonna make the joke. We had to send out a memo this week for Matt to stop asking people for Lucy's.
Have I been asking people for Lucy's?
No, you wouldn't.
I do.
You're a good, clean young man.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not above asking somebody for. I'm not
Okay.
above bumming a cigarette out for somebody.
I tried.
You can try all you want, my man. I'm too brutally honest here. Let's do one more.
One more
woman in history. If you will. I know you have a Rolodex.
Oh yeah, we could do this for literal years.
And that which is kind of embarrassing for me.
I need to do some research on if we have listed her already. So I will move to the next name on the list.
We do have to, because we are making a song.
I gotta start logging these.
Yeah, we need to log them. We should have started. There's a lot of things we need to log on this show.
Mhm.
You know, who our wacky guests have been.
Yep.
The dog of the day. At one point I thought I was going to be able to keep a record of what the dog of the day is.
You don't want that number?
Yeah, I don't want that number anymore. But anyway, breaking Stibbs is going to help us a little bit when it comes to the wacky, or the wacky guest Wednesday, but the This Week in Women's History theme song. Okay, so
our last woman this week.
Okay.
Right, one more.
Our final lady.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Amanda Peet. Peet would be P-E.
Of course it's not E-T-E or P-A-A-T. It has to be P-E-E-T.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
She's an American actress as well.
Yes.
She's in Seinfeld. Was in Seinfeld as well.
Was she?
That's what one of the. Whoa. Okay. She looks like Cameron Diaz a little bit.
There was a time in her, I don't want to say younger years. That seems rude, but
well, was she younger during the time?
She was young. Yeah, we're always younger than we were, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Where she looked like Cam Diaz.
Yeah. If you look at those Cameron Diaz photos when she's like a model, like right before she's in the mask, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Whole 9 Yards, probably the most famous movie she's in. Fans of this particular time slot know her from Saving Silverman.
What's Saving Silver?
Saving Silverman is a movie with Jack Black and Steve Zahn that Connor has seen and referenced frequently.
Okay.
Sports fans, she was in the TV show Brockmire. Oh yeah, she was in an episode of Seinfeld.
Did she date Derek Jeter? That's because
I don't know.
Okay.
But I'll plead ignorant on this one.
No, I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Because this just,
Does she have a look to her that
she looks like a Jeter girl?
She got a gift basket?
Yeah. She looks like.
All right.
I mean,
we could probably just do a list of
Derek
Jeter's girlfriends.
yes, seriously. I mean,
like that time everyone ended up being in Playboy and I had no idea.
Quote unquote.
I didn't know. All
right. Wow. Yeah.
Get all these ads.
She's married to David Benioff.
I'm not familiar with that name.
David Friedman.
Why did he change his name?
I have no clue.
He's a man.
He's a screenwriter and television producer.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Yeah, really good for him. My goodness.
He is best known for co-creating Game of Thrones.
Oh, there we go.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you haven't seen Amanda Peet much lately, I bet. Because you haven't had to.
I would like to see more of Amanda.
Whoa. This is a roster, Derek.
Okay.
Wow.
Name it. I know some of these names.
Jessica Biel, Jessica Alba, Tyra Banks, Omaha's own Gabrielle Union, Scarlett Johansson, Mariah Carey.
My God.
Wow. Tip of the cap.
Re-two-packed Derek Jeter's lineup. My God. Who's batting cleanup in the lineup is my question. Probably was Halle Berry in there?
She was not on this particular list. It was a short list.
Come on. But she was dating David Jacobsen.
With that skin, he could have anyone he wants.
I'm not going to quote the other guys.
It's blemish free.
Well, you know what? Not early on in the career, though. He had a little acne at the beginning.
Sure, who didn't?
I mean, seriously, I still do.
He got a little money and he got a regimen.
My Dwayne Johnson face wash isn't working.
Yeah, let me tell you about it. Patootie or whatever it is.
Papooey. It's Papooey. Okay.
That's my backup deodorant. I was like, oh,
really? You have backup deodorant?
Yeah, just in case you run out, you gotta have a spare in there.
I have a toothbrush in the car.
Perfect. I got one in my desk.
Yeah, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a razor in the car.
Whoa.
But that's a little much, I'm thinking about going full clean shave today, though. That is on.
Oh, that's on the table.
That is on. I'm going to Zach Bryan.
And you need to be clean shaven for that?
I don't know. Maybe just mix it up a little bit.
Okay.
Just.
How long would it take you to get some nice stubble?
4 days.
Okay.
It's 8 days for like a full kind of beard. Like this, what I have going on right now, probably 13, probably 2 weeks is what this takes. I think I might go full everything. We'll see. Coming up next, though, let's talk about the NFL draft. Let's get back to business. Let's talk about Emmett Johnson. Where might he go? Where is a good fit?
Emmett.
Let's also talk about Deshaun Singleton and Sierra Wright. How bad of a look will it be if only one Nebraska football player gets drafted this year? Will it look that bad? Will it be, hey, this happens. This is happening a lot anyway. We're numb to it. Is there more to dive into it? Is there less to dive into it? Should we make a big deal of it? Should we not make a big deal of it? Should we be more worried if it happens again next year or the year after that? And what does it kind of reflect in terms of the health of the development part of the program? We'll talk about that coming up here on Middays with Matt on the 1620 Zone Radio.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Okay, I have a complaint.
Oh, we haven't done this in a while.
I don't like them doing the second day of the NFL draft at night and kind of treating it like a mini first round. And having
You want it during the day.
I kind of wanted like 4, or like 5.
Why?
I don't know. Just something about like this kind of
Okay.
the things that you're just.
You want it to feel different.
I love day 3 of the draft because it just happens in the middle of the day.
That tracks.
180 players get drafted.
They're making picks. Maybe they're listing them off on TV. Maybe they're not.
They're taking 30 seconds a draft pick, and
Hey,
I
here's
just
the
get
last 5 guys that got drafted.
and every 15 minutes I get a zzz. Hey, this guy who had a really good college career just got drafted, or zzz, Garrett Nussmeier, an Eagle. 15 minutes later, zzz. Hey, Diego Pavia went in the 6th round. And then I'll get a zzz, I'll get a double buzz, and that's because look who the Bears drafted.
Double buzz.
And then I'll get a zzz, because I'm like, oh, Nebraska got somebody drafted. And
Triple
all of the media members have to all tweet it out at the same time.
Quick note, media members this weekend, when Emmett Johnson gets drafted, just a simple retweet will be fine. You don't have to do eyeball emoji. You don't have to, the blank have picked Emmett Johnson at blank. Like, that'll be in the tweet you're quote tweeting. You can just straight up retweet. Keep it moving.
Just go find whomever, what team drafted him. Bang. We get it. Okay. Speaking about Emmett Johnson getting drafted, where might he go? According to CBS Sports and Bleacher Report, they do not have him going in the 2nd or the 3rd round. He is the 122nd ranked prospect according to Bleacher Report. Way too high, in my opinion, or way too low, rather.
Is that total for this draft or available right now?
Total for the draft,
Okay,
122nd. CBS Sports does not have him going in day 2, but they do have the Bears taking running back Mike Washington at 60. And so the reason why I bring that up is just to kind of mention, hey, what if Chicago has Emmett, right, as their next running back, and that's a spot where they take a running back. He could go there. So I do think the big thing is Jadarian Price being drafted 32nd overall does play off very well for Emmett because there are teams that need running backs throughout this draft. But now he kind of just gets moved up in that pecking order, right? If Price was still around, he'd probably go 51, to the Minnesota Vikings was a place that he was mocked to go to. Now it seems like the Vikings, who had a top 30 visit with Emmett Johnson, seem like they could be in potentially really good position to draft him. The Vikings have the 82nd overall pick, and that would be in the 3rd round. So I think that definitely is an opportunity, definitely a place that Emmett could go if he were to go in day 2 of the draft. Is 82nd to the Vikings. There also is the Jacksonville Jaguars have a plethora of picks in that area. They have the 81st overall pick. They have the 88th overall pick. They also have the 100th overall pick, which is a compensatory selection. So the Jags have 3 picks from 81 to 100. Also something to look out for, too. The Bears have the 89th overall pick in the 3rd round as well. So there are definitely some needy running back teams that have these kind of 80 to 90 overall picks. It like I said before, it's dependent on who might go before. It's almost as if if Mike Washington were to go higher, let's say Washington goes to Tennessee at I think the Titans have the 66th overall pick. So it's almost like if Tennessee goes, oh, we missed out on Jeremiah Love, we're going to take Mike Washington at 66. That would probably insinuate, all right, hey, the Vikings, Jags, Bears, whomever might need a running back there, they're all going to be kind of in that same grouping where it's like, hey, if you want EJ, you got to get him probably before The Vikings get on the clock at 82. So do the Bears maybe move up to 79? Do the Jaguars probably go up one step before? Do they get to maybe 75 with Miami? We know that Miami, they're definitely in a bit of a rebuilding phase in their franchise. They've been willing and not willing. They want to trade back and recoup as many picks as possible. So maybe 75 with a trade-up candidate, depending on where does Washington go. You also got to think, is Nick Singleton or Katron Allen, where are they kind of ranking amongst this running back group? And so, it just gets to when you have a running back position that's considered to be pretty thin, according to a lot of experts, it's just dependent on how do teams evaluate? How do they think they'll fit into their system? What is the ranking and whatnot? So it'll be interesting. I think Emmett has a better chance at going today than people are giving him credit for. I just think the picks and the teams that he could be tagged to work out. There's no doubt in my mind that if he does make it out of today, if he does make it out of day 2 of the draft, that he's going to be taken pretty quickly in the 4th round on day 3 of the draft. And definitely
the 3 mocks I've looked at, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, and CBS, none of them have him going today. So it would take a scenario like you've laid out, where a team takes a running back and everyone goes, whoa, do we need to take a running back?
Yeah, but
there's not a lot of them. Maybe we should take a running back.
Now we saw this last year. If you want to harken back to last year, there was a pretty quick run on running backs in the beginning of that 4th round. Bashal Tuden got taken. Cam Scadaboo was taken by the Giants. I think it was like 104. So you saw them in the 4th round. There was kind of a string that running backs that went. And I think teams were like, all right, if we're going to get them, we got to get them. One team that kind of failed out on that was the Chicago Bears. I mean, the Bears wanted to take Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. They didn't have the opportunity to do so, or at least they wanted to take Henderson and they couldn't get him. So then they ended up taking Luther Burden. They wanted one of those running backs in that 4th round. They couldn't take him, so they had to take one young guy. If the Bears really want a running back, which it's a need but isn't a top deal for them, I'm anticipating them to be pretty aggressive when it comes for that. Some really good reporting here from Sean Callahan in Tunnel Talk today. He laid out some of the visits that are being taken by potential draft prospects.
That was going to be a follow-up question.
Nebraska. So so he does write this about EJ, that he as we prepare for day 2 of the NFL draft, it's wild to think how far Emmett Johnson has come. I didn't know this about EJ. He did not dress for the Northwestern game. All the way back in 2022, he traveled with the team. He was there in Ireland, but he did not dress for that game, which is kind of crazy to think about, considering a couple of years later, he would be one of the higher Huskers drafted in some recent history here. But let's talk about the other prospects that can go. So I have a bunch of 7-round NFL mock drafts that are going to more reputable sources and less reputable sources. There are some here that are from USA Today. There's other here that are from fan-sided accounts that, is a little bit more poignant towards like the teams that are, if you're writing for the Broncos, you're probably more poignant towards like the Broncos and what they might get. But there are various landing spots, and I think at this point right now, you will say the only guy you're really confident that's going to be drafted from Nebraska is Emmett Johnson. Okay, EJ really is the only one that is popping up consistently on these 7-round mock drafts. I saw one mock draft here where it's only Emmett Johnson. There's another mock draft here on Fansided where Deshaun Singleton goes 216th to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's this other mock draft where it's Deshaun Singleton, the Steelers at 216, Sierra Wright 248 to the Cleveland Browns in the 7th round. Then there's another mock draft where it's just Sierra Wright getting drafted, right? And Deshaun Singleton is completely out of the picture. So it's one of those issues where once you get to the 6th and 7th round, it really depends on meetings, representation, need, special teams, all that type of stuff. And so, there is a legitimate possibility that the Huskers walk out and they have 3 players drafted, which you go, each player kind of has their own individual story in a way, right? I think it would be a big win for Nebraska, honestly, if Deshaun and Sierra were to go, because it shows a little bit of variability in a way. Because Sierra was a guy who they got out of the transfer portal, right? He was a late transfer portal addition. He comes in from USC and really just kind of out of nowhere, especially after there was some injury in the secondary, not last season, but the season before, where you're like, wow, this Sierra Wright guy, man, he's legit. This is a dude that a lot of people didn't necessarily have on their radar, who's coming in and making some pretty big plays. And I think it shows, hey, look at, I think Sierra Wright is a really good recruiting story for Nebraska, because it shows Matt Rule being like, hey, look, transfer portal prospects, like, I can take you, I can develop you. It doesn't matter where you've been before. It doesn't matter that your first stop didn't work out. We can take you in, we can make you better, we can develop you, and we can get you to where you wanted to go initially, right? And I do think that if you're looking at the comparing and contrasting of Nebraska recruiting, it definitely does seem like Nebraska is able to connect more from a relationship standpoint, more so to high school recruits than they are to transfer portal recruits. It just seems like they're able to build better connections with high school recruits, just just looking at it from a surface level, just because this team, and Matt Rule stated so many times how much he likes high school kids and how much he loves the process of taking young men and developing them into grown men, right? Has been one of his strengths as a college football coach. Some transfer portal prospects, they're not necessarily looking for that. Some of them are already grown men to begin with, right? What are they looking for? Money, wins, and I want to get drafted. And Nebraska, definitely does have the money. Maybe not to a certain extent of other teams, but definitely does have money. But currently right now, they don't have the wins and they don't have the draft prospects. I think Sierra getting picked, to me, it doesn't matter that he's getting picked in the 6th or 7th round or wherever it might be. I think it's a very good recruiting story to somebody that they might be interested in the transfer portal. Be like, look, we know you're not necessarily highly touted. We know necessarily you don't have, a big price tag and things didn't work out in your first stop, but look what we did for Sierra Wright. Now, Deshaun Singleton is just a straight up development story, right? That's and same thing with EJ, right? Like, I think it's really impressive if Singleton and EJ were to go, because those were guys that on a bad Nebraska team in 2022, they were there, right? They were present. They were there. And Matt Rule came in along with Tony White for Singleton specifically and identified those guys as, all right, these guys can make impacts. And as the years had gone on, EJ and Deshaun are two guys who trusted the process. I loved what BC brought up about, Emmett's a great story because he stuck to it. It might have been easier for Emmett to enter into the transfer portal. It might have been easier for Emmett to say, hey, I'm not getting the opportunities that I want. I'm going to go elsewhere. And granted, Emmett did enter the transfer portal. We do forget that. At least I forget that. But he could have gone elsewhere. He could have gone to a different school. He could have, tried his luck. And yet he trusted Matt Rule. He trusted EJ Barthel. Dana Holgerson came in as an offensive coordinator, saw something in EJ that, the offensive coordinator of the past maybe didn't fully realize, and, allowed Emmett to flourish and allowed Emmett to be the player that he became and have an incredibly special season from the running back position. And then you look at Deshaun as a guy where he has the measurables, man. Like, that's the one. I bet lunch with Michael Severe on Deshaun Singleton because I'm like, look at the size, man. 6'2.5", 220. Could be a physical hitter. Definitely needs to refine some things in coverage. But these are two guys that Nebraska can say, look, we got here and they weren't very good, right? They couldn't even play on a 4-8 Nebraska team. And now NFL teams want their services, right? And then you look at Sierra and you go, hell yeah, man, we were able to identify a guy in the portal and we were able to grab him. And it's not like Sierra was not hot and ready to go from USC, right? See, they had to get him there and they got him there. Now, there's a flip side, man. There's a flip side of if only Emmett gets drafted, you got to look around and say, this is supposed to be a developmental program and we're heading into year 4 and you only have one guy going. That's not a good look. It's hard to sell, a developmental program at times when you can't really look to the draft and say, Look at our name. Look at our guys. Look at our school.
Especially when I come in here on Monday and tell you that 3 Iowa Western Reavers were drafted, maybe even 4 or 5.
Yeah. And there's all this discussion about people being overly negative and people being overly pessimistic. And you got to trust the process and all that stuff. And I get it. Some people, right, might go overboard in terms of their doubt of Matt Rule. But and I acknowledge that. Hell, we have, John texting in right now, and we have people who are always emailing and being like, I don't care what he does. I don't think Matt Rule is going to figure it out. That's just the facts, right? But there also is just what I just mentioned, the facts, right? And the facts are that you're supposed to be, and you want to brand yourself as a developmental program, but it's hard to brand yourself that way when the facts are you're not getting your guys to the next level. And so look, Sierra Wright and Deshaun Singleton are going to sign free agent deals. They're going to be in a training camp. They have a possibility to make a roster, right? And you can make the argument it's more important to make the roster than to get drafted. That's totally fine.
Absolutely.
Right? But I'm just saying right now, it means something when somebody goes on the stage and says, with the 216th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Deshaun Singleton, safety, Nebraska. That means something, right? It means something when the ticker flashes up on pick 245 and you see cornerback Sierra Wright, Nebraska, right?
The actor.
Yes. It's just, it's a push and pull. And so, yeah, the difference between 1 and 3 from a number standpoint, there's not a lot that separates one guy and 3 guys, but from an optic standpoint and from a promotional standpoint and from what you're trying to sell, it's a recruiting tool. And Nebraska needs all the recruiting tools it needs. They have good people. Nebraska's good at talking to people. Nebraska's good at making relationships with people.
They're in on so many recruits.
They're in on a lot of guys. They got guys who know how to develop relationships, man. Yeah. EJ Barthel knows how to talk to people. EJ Barthel knows how to make relationships. He knows how to get into places that Nebraska hasn't been into in a while. Matt Rule knows how to do that. But the more you can stack up, the more tools you can put on your belt, the more billboards you can put around saying, hey, look at our guys in the NFL, the better. BC said it. You look at the guys who went to Nebraska who are in the NFL, that list isn't long. And it's not long, and it's not overly impressive. You need to build that list. You need to build these things up so you can point to things and say, look at what we can do. Come here, come to us.
Good line from Kenneth in the chat. Schools aren't going around and saying, you come here, we'll turn you into a post-draft free agent signing.
Amen. We'll just end it there. We'll just end it there because I hate it when the commenters have better comments than I have comments. But that's
they need to be succinct. But you have to fill 12 to 18 minutes.
No, it's not even that. Kenneth's damn right. You don't go, hey, man, we got them to rookie camp. No, you go, hey, man, we got them to the first round. There are more teams who can do that, including San Diego State, than you can. But Rob Orich, one of his guys, Chris Jones, cornerback. You got Jeep Wade, Keelan Rutledge, one of his guys. You can sell that too. You can sell, hey, look at Chris Johnson, look at Keelan Rutledge. Who coached them? Who do we got now? There's a push and pull. There's a push and pull with everything when it comes to Nebraska football at this point. But the less you win, the less pull there might be. Coming up next, let's talk. I want to talk the Knicks. I want to just trash the Knicks for about 5 minutes, and then we can go ahead and we can talk to Austin Jacobsen. Coming up at 1:00 here on the Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Okay, a couple things here. I'm giddy.
You're Josh Giddey right now?
Whoa.
Hey, you said it, not me.
No, I said I'm giddy. You called me Josh Giddy. I'm not Josh Giddy.
It's going to be crystal clear.
I'm not. Very clear.
Go on.
Would I like to be 6'7" and play in the NBA, though? It's out. Pablo Torre has released a 45-minute video talking all about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. He is, quote unquote, still making calls, but has put out a video about the situation. I'm driving to Lincoln today.
Oh, what a perfectly timed video.
Perfect. Literally will take me the entire time. 45 minutes. You know, now I drive pretty slow.
You drive the speed limit.
I drive the speed limit, so it takes me about 55, depending on where I'm going. I do have to pick up a chair for a buddy, though, which is kind of, I know, I'm a great friend. Anyway, it's out, so that'll be fun. What's also just got emailed to me today, my guy Mike emailed me my Derby Super Screener, the early edition.
Oh.
So we're
okay.
I know what I'm doing this weekend, reading all about the Derby.
I'm excited for you to read it and tell me what you find on Monday.
I'm so happy, and I'm not talking about the horse So Happy, who will be running the Kentucky Derby.
Oh.
I'm just talking about the fact that I'm very happy I will be reading that this weekend, and I'm also very happy that the New York Knicks lost yesterday, 109-108. CJ McCollum, why are we talking about this?
What is going on there?
This is ridiculous. The guy's playing like the best player on a championship team. He was written off years ago. Kevin Nash, LOL, thought he was dead. You know? That's what I thought about CJ McCollum.
Uh-huh.
But no, he's back in Atlanta. In Atlanta, specifically, like in the city of Atlanta, making a game-winning fadeaway two to beat the New York Knicks 109-108 as the Hawks have a 2-1 series lead. I'm so sick and tired of the New York Knicks. I've been sick and tired for the Knicks for forever. They haven't done anything relevant in the NBA in 50 years. All we do is talk about them. Jim Dolan wipes his ass and it's on the A block of First Take. I mean, it's just, we talk and pay so much attention to this New York Knicks team for years and years and years, just for them to do what? Lose in the second round, lose in the first round, making it, no, we're going to trade for Stoudemire. Didn't work out. We're going to trade for Melo. Didn't work out. We're going to trade for Karl Anthony Towns. Not working out. I mean, seriously, it's ridiculous just how much attention and just how much we care about this one franchise and how much talk we give to them. And yet, what do? They just piss down their leg year in and year out, whether it be off the court or on the court. I am so happy and I am so excited for the Atlanta Hawks to, for the second time in this decade, to beat them in the very first round. One time was with Trae Young. This time, hopefully, with CJ McCollum. It'll be absolutely fantastic.
Be fantastic for me as a Celtics fan if the Celtics can get their act together and finish off the Sixers.
That's the one thing. It's like, yeah, we talk about the Celtics a lot. We do. Do you know why we talk about the Celtics a lot? Because the Celtics win NBA championships. Because the Celtics go, well, you had a little bit of a break there. I don't forget the Kenny Olynyk era. All right. You can't make me forget about Jared Sullinger, Josh Odson. All right. I'll remember him forever.
These are names I remember.
Okay. You're gonna get me to forget about that era of Celtics basketball. No. Also, too, I was reminded to myself that Kyrie Irving was a Celtic.
That's right. It happened.
I totally forgot about that. If you guys would have me back, I plan on re-signing.
Saged the court.
What was that, like 8 months later?
I don't know.
Man, 2010's NBA drama. Nothing will beat that. Nothing will beat that. Nothing will beat the banana boat. Nothing will beat, the Heatles. Nothing will beat all the teams being like, holy crap, Kevin Durant to the Warriors. We have to trade everything and everybody. Jimmy to the Wolves. Melo to the Thunder. Paul to the Rockets. You just can't defeat that. You'll never be able to get over that. It's not the same anymore. And it never will be, unfortunately. But should be a fun day today, though. Should be a fun weekend. Have a lot of baseball, have a lot of playoff hockey going on, have a ton of NBA playoffs going on, the NFL draft. Day 2 today, day 3 tomorrow. How many Huskers will be drafted in the next couple of days in Pittsburgh? We talked to Austin Jacobsen about it. Coming up next here on Middays with Matt on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Like I mentioned in our last segment, I got my email today to get my Kentucky Derby screener, my magazine that I read before I place all my bets on Saturday. We want to remind you that you can enter 1620 The Zone's Derby draw for a chance to win $200 without saddling up on a horse. Be one of the lucky 20 finalists, and you'll randomly be assigned a racehorse. If your horse wins the Kentucky Derby, you win $200. Register now at 1620thezone.com. Alrighty, we go to the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Prairie Flower Casino, play longer, win more. We are joined from Herd at Sports, one of our favorites every Friday here at 1 o'clock on the road, as opposed to being on camera. It's Austin Jacobsen. AJ, how are you?
I'm great. There's no internet out here, so that's why we can't be on stream. You know, all those Western Nebraskanders, they don't understand what the common simplicities of Wi-Fi and such. So we're doing it over the cell phone.
Are you hands free right now? Or are you in the passenger? Are you the passenger princess right now?
I am a passenger princess. Our wonderful photographer, John S. Peterson, is driving. We did witness a construction accident as we left Lincoln, but other than that, I think we're all good.
Good. Do you have when you stop at a gas station, what are you picking up?
What am I picking up from the gas station?
Yeah. What is your
yeah,
go ahead.
Probably get a protein bar. Then I will go with probably a light blue Monster.
Yeah.
Zero, obviously. Got to save those calories.
Absolutely.
And may go sour Skittles on this one. I don't know when our next gas station trip will be.
Ooh.
We'll see how it turns out.
Sour Skittles. Can we dive into that? Have you always been a sour Skittle man, or is this a new development?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My Skittles rating right now would be sour Skittles 1, regular 2, and then a huge gap, like the Mariana Trench, and then we'd probably go Wild Berry after that. I'm not performing a Skittle other than the top 2.
Yeah, the Wild Berries, that's the blue bag of Skittles, correct?
Blue or purple, either. I can avoid.
And you're talking
to be colorblind.
Yeah, you're talking about the light green bag is your favorite bag of Skittles.
Yes, the sour Skittles. Yes, yeah.
That's really good. I've always been an M&M guy over a Skittles guy, though. I was always
I'll always go like peanut M&M. That's always a good way to go. Mini M&M and the little like cartridge is kind of fun too. Pretzel M&M, I'll deal with. I cannot, and this is like there's like a cult gathering of peanut butter M&M folks.
No,
I can't handle those goobers. Those goobers need to stay away from me.
The texture is a little wonky between the outer shell of the chocolate and the peanut butter. It's just, it doesn't work. I also too leave the peanut butter to the Reese's. You know, you don't have to get into that. Same thing though, Reese's, just make the peanut butter cups. Don't get into the peanut butter game. All right. There's a difference between.
Stay with me.
Yeah, I'll stay with you.
It's Reese's, not Reese's.
All right.
Okay, let's try to make sure we get this correct.
All right,
I know you're not from here, but you're really showing your true colors right now. Okay.
Continue.
No, that's all that I have.
Oh, that's all that you had to say. How does not being able to say Reese's or Reese's or whatever the hell you call it? Why does it matter that I'm from Chicago? Why does it matter when I say it like that?
Because you're supposed to say it right. When you come to the state, you say our candy right. All right? Get it right.
You heading out to Cairo? Where are you heading out to?
Wow. Why'd you just drop Cairo right there?
So to show you that I could say things right, like Beatrice.
That's very fun. Where is the Husker Spring match? What town? How do you pronounce that?
Shadron.
There you go. Look at this guy.
Shadron State University, man.
This town just outside of Columbus, their boys soccer team just lost a match for the first time this season. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I saw that you did a video that you were profiling them, and then you posted it on Twitter, and then right after they lost, was it Riley? Right? Was it Riley?
No, it'd be Skylar. Riley is just so inherently wrong. That's terrible.
Okay, thank you. I'm taking a guess. I knew it was a woman's name. I didn't know if it was Skylar or if it was Riley. I was taking a shot in the dark. I didn't shoot with Althea.
Not like Breaking Bad Skylar, just the town Skylar. Two different things.
How is it different than the woman from Breaking Bad?
Well, it's spelled Schuyler.
No, but I know. But you say it the same way. You say it the same way.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But someone like you that came from Chicago would say like Schuler or something ridiculous like that.
Okay, but I didn't. I know how to pronounce. I've seen all the videos on Herd at Sports about how to pronounce the cities correctly. Ogallala. All right.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
I've done it.
I know that's
I've been in this state for 6 years.
Wow. Good for you, man.
It's
You're
like
a kindergartner of Nebraska. That's pretty sick.
it's been a quarter of my life has been in Nebraska.
He
Think
knows
about it
all
that
those
way.
businesses Pat keeps drumming up on the videos too.
I've never known more.
Machine.
I've never known more about closed restaurants in my life until I found my way into Omaha. I don't even know any closed restaurants where I grew up. That's not fully true, but I know more about them here in Nebraska than anywhere.
Well,
thank you. Yeah.
I'm glad we could provide that information to you. There's no other way you could get that.
Zero. I'm not going to look that up myself. Anyway, let's talk sports, shall we?
Okay. Yeah, let's.
Your Carolina Panthers. How'd you feel about Monroe Freeling?
I feel good as long as he has a driver for him. I think we should be fine. There's no reason for him to be out on any freeways or roads. We already have LaMelo Ball that's in the street of Charlotte. That's very concerning for us anyway. So
great point.
We don't need more dangerous drivers. But
sure.
Yeah, I think they had their options. They had different choices of what they could have done. I was never going to be on the KC Concepcion train of thought too. I don't think that we needed the more weapons. It's a make or break year for Bryce Young. So if you're going to go somewhere, at least give yourself an opportunity to say, okay, who's someone that you can, transgress if you do move on from quarterbacks, and offensive linemen are pretty easy to work with that way. I'm not going to say like a broken down Georgia film by any means, just to see what he looks like. But regardless, I think it was not necessarily a matter of need, but definitely a position that you can help your young quarterback out with.
Do you think it's a make or break year for Xavier Legette, or do you think he's broken?
At this point, like he's much like a couple of other receivers that they've had in their franchise's history, where they've taken different paths, whether it's been Philly Brown during the Super Bowl tenure, whether it was Kurt Samuel from Ohio State a couple of years ago too, where they like to get very athletic guys that they can play in the slot and have high potential for, potentially in kickoff returns and punt returns, and get the ball in their hands. But Xavier Legette's now in that part of his career where it's probably past the point of knowing what he could be and kind of more of this is who he is.
Sure.
So if you're comfortable with the role that he has, you're probably okay saying, okay, one way or another, he's either with us or we can move on and try to get younger, find someone else that kind of fills that niche role. I'm interested to find out what he looks like in another year of the Dave Canales offense, but regardless, I don't think that he's meant for the long run, but he's been a fun story to follow, if nothing else.
You have barring your own team, do you have a place you want EJ to get drafted to?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think Emmett Johnson really fits with the Panthers, especially run style. They are very physical downhill, and Emmett needs some space, and the way that a lot of the run game, especially when they had Rico Dowdle
and Chuba
last year and Chuba, that's a lot of downhill power running that they like to have, where you're basically initiating contact. This is very, very low hanging fruit, but obviously the best system for someone like Emmett Johnson is like a San Francisco 49ers style offense, where it's built for space, it's built to make the first person miss, and so that way you kind of move your way up to the second level and beyond. But from there, I think that there's a really, really good probability that I think he could have success in like a more physical style running system like Detroit, where maybe you can have a little bit more open openings and stuff, especially opened up by another running back. You could be the number 2. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for him because of his unique running style, but I think that there are a few that I would be hesitant for him to go to.
Okay. Let me give you a couple. Minnesota.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Ooh, Minnesota. I'd be half and half on that. I'd probably lean closer to saying I'm not as comfortable with that.
Denver.
I'd probably say, that's tough because his catching ability. That he would get a lot of.
He would get a lot of
Sean Payton offense.
He would.
But
they might already have the guy in Harvey. Is my thing.
Right, but I would probably lean closer to yes for Denver. Yeah.
Jacksonville,
yes.
Jacksonville's such a yes, right?
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. I think the two, Ravi did a great video about the Rams, how he would fit perfectly with the Rams.
Yes.
I'm mad though that Jeremiah Love went to Arizona because Mike LaFleur was the OC for the Rams, and now he's the head coach in Arizona. And I think EJ would have been perfect in Arizona if they were using that same running system. So he's not going to be there. What do you think of the Bears?
Oh, the Bears are interesting though, and you'll know a little bit more about it just because you've watched those games more intently.
Yeah.
But especially with them moving on from DJ Moore, opening up some more opportunities, especially some more backfield chances. Caleb Williams feels like a guy who loves his tight ends, loves his running backs, and wants to take chances with his receivers. I feel like that's a pretty good fit in the receiving game. I don't really know the running game as well, just because I haven't seen as much of the Bears.
It's a lot of between the tackles. It's not so much of outside zone stuff as maybe you would want for EJ. But he would kind of line up perfectly in more of a check down space for Caleb than anything. And I think that they're getting ready. Like DeAndre Swift is not going to be on the team next year. And they really wanted a running back in last year's draft, and they didn't get him. And they got Monungai in the 7th round. But Monungai is more of a power back than the receiving back that you want him to be. I think that I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't take him, but if they were to take him, I think there are so many different things that they could do with that trio of running backs that would put him in a really good space to succeed.
But you'd also be getting really greedy as a Bears GM, taking another running back rather than applying a lot more pressure to your defense and filling up some more holes that you have over there.
It depends on what they do okay. If you gave me the layout, right, of would you rather take a running back or would you rather take a wide receiver? I would probably say I would rather the Bears take a wide receiver. At the same time, though, if they were to take a running back, the running back that I would want them to take would be a guy like Emmett, who could, and we saw this in college, could line up in the slot. He can line up and run routes, and he can, be super versatile. So I don't know if it's so much of being greedy as much as do the other wide receivers or other offensive weapons you might want to take on the board. I think, though, that they're probably going to hit center and D tackle, but they have a pick at 89, which could turn out pretty good for them. And that might be an EJ spot. But I think it would work. I think it would work. I love Minnesota for him. I think Minnesota could really work. I think it'd be a good you have two different he'd be behind a different running back in Aaron Jones, who'd bring a different style of running than EJ brings. And I think that the pass game with Kevin O'Connell could really, really work for him. I think he can get super creative with what he could do in the short passing game. And I do think that, Minnesota could use a guy like Emmett that can make dudes miss in a phone booth. I think that's the kind of shorter intermediate game is something they need a little bit more of, in my opinion. Especially after they've go ahead.
There is a difference though between having a great offensive system and a great offensive system built for your running back. KOC has a great offensive system that's meant for flourishing offenses. I don't know if that necessarily means the perfect fit for Emmett Johnson.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying though, that obviously the more trees that have fruit, the more people eat sort of, mentality. So if you have that sort of offense where you've got Justin Jefferson and you've got other receivers on the outside and you have, a new quarterback too that will give you more opportunities, throwing in another guy who could get you more chances to miss in space, that in theory does make sense, but I don't know if it's necessarily built for a running back, especially someone that's like Emmett, who probably, like we saw over the past year, does do better when he gets more opportunities and especially when you give him different chances in space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be, you're right. In the compare and contrasting of you want as many mouths to feed, but that might be good for your team. Is that good for your players specifically? Is probably that's a good outlook at looking at it. I think Jacksonville probably sets up the best for that, in terms of the balance of Emmett's going to get touches, but you're also going to be in an offense that uses his versatility really, really well. Let's go. Let's talk about Singleton and Wright. I mean, how imperative to you, if at all, is it that one or both of these guys get drafted?
Ooh, so are you meaning what's your frame of reference for this question?
Recruiting.
Okay, so recruiting wise, honestly, to me, not desperately. I really don't think so. I don't think it's a end all be all by any means, because again, kind of if you're taking this from the basis of recruitment, Emmett Johnson is your bell cow that you say, yeah, he was here when we got here as a coaching staff, right? But we developed him into the guy that he was, and Emmett has been very forthgiving about that information as well. He says EJ Barthel is a huge reason why. He says Matt Rule is a guy who, like, believed me, kept me on the roster, like all that stuff. Like, he's been very vocal about saying that sort of stuff. Sierra Wright came into the system, and if he's the guy that gets drafted, I mean, he was already a starting cornerback at USC before. His game got better under, a different defensive backs coach, or you could even say two that are no longer with the program anyway.
Sure.
And then on the same side with Singleton, his was just longevity, right? Like, he got better and better over time, but he had played a lot of college football. So I think that your argument of if you're in a recruit's home or you're pitching a conversation about development and we want you here for 5 years or whatever it is, Emmett Johnson is your bell cow and the guy that you hang your hat on. If you're Rule and you're a coaching staff, you say, look at what we did for him to get him to be a day 2 pick in the NFL. I would love to see Sierra get drafted. It sucks to say, but I've never been huge on Deshaun Singleton. Like, truthfully, he's just never been kind of like my flavor. And I just don't know, like, necessarily how, like, everything fits for him on the NFL side. But I've always thought Sierra is just a good football player, and he's a guy that maybe you don't line him up to get off the bus first, but good football players find ways to get on the field, and I think Sierra will have a very good chance to do that, especially maybe he starts on special teams or works his way on practice squad, and you work your way in chances and more chances in the NFL, then eventually someone will find you and someone will pick you up and will want you. But I think a lot of people are just scared of just the frame and the size of what he is, and maybe there's other intricacies to how he plays the defensive back position, especially the cornerback, and if he's not going to be able to be a great tackler either, then those are the concerns. But again, to go back to what you were asking at first, I think that Emmett Johnson being drafted today is everything that Matt Rule needs it to be in terms of building off of what you want to have those conversations be for the future.
You want to call your shot and say, or how about this? Do you think the next first round pick in Nebraska Cornhusker football history is currently on the roster?
The next first round pick for Nebraska. That is a good question. Let me think. I'm trying to think through.
Can I give you candidates? Potential candidates?
Name a couple of two for me, because I'll be honest for you right now, like, for this upcoming next year's draft, I don't think that there is one.
No, probably not.
27 draft.
Probably not. This is more 28, 29.
Okay.
Winery.
Yeah, so my brain immediately went there because he will test out really well. He's going to look great in shorts at the combine in Indy. And people are going to fall in love with the frame and everything. But if he doesn't produce this year, I don't know if he will do enough, because that's the other thing is there's always that misperception of how people perceive your production comparative to your measurables. Well, a lot of these people who have great production and don't have the measurables, or vice versa, come from winning programs that get a lot of eyes on them.
Yeah.
If Winery and Nebraska don't have a lot of wins and they're not, like, in the national conversation, he's not a reason why, or, like, he doesn't get whatever, then that's a reason why people, I don't think, would fall in love with him. Like, I would agree that so if you took Winery right now and you said he was like I don't know, like LSU, and LSU is going to be in the national zeitgeist for the entire season regardless of what happens, he would look so good in shorts that everyone would fall in love with him and probably push him to a first round pick, right?
Well, yeah.
But at Nebraska, if he doesn't produce, then I think that's his crux. He's got to get to 7 sacks, like, to be in that conversation.
You're kind of describing what might happen to Princewill Umanmielen, him being at LSU and him being in that spotlight, and guy who came from Nebraska. All right, one more, Pritchett.
Yeah, I mean that's the other obvious one too. I don't know if he's a first round pick just because he's got a lot of other things to correct. But listen, he's got the best developer of offensive line talent in the country in college football in Jeep Wade. So if he does it again, like, that could be a guy who leaves school early to make sure that he gets there and gets his bag in the NFL. Because truthfully, let's be honest, like, it's not like he's going to have if he does it and improves to a point this year, he will not stay. And then, later on, he would probably be one of those evaluated picks for next year.
Before I let you go here, as you're traveling all the way out to Chadron, Nebraska, PC goes, now he's given me a city in Nebraska that is Hooper. Okay, that's how you would say it, is Hooper.
Yes.
But is it like, is it Hupper?
Yes, and so actually,
Okay.
and I'll give you grievance on this one. I actually just found out about this one not too long ago either. I didn't realize it was Hupper.
But why? Why is it Hupper?
Yeah,
it's
great question.
Why? You know what I'm saying? It's like Christian Braun is Christian Brown, but he spells it Braun. It's come on. We can have a little decorum, Hupper. You know, that's what I
You can
say.
take that up with the governor herself. I'm sure she would love to be in an argument with you.
I would love, you know what, any former congressional people I would love to argue with. I would just.
You realize I was talking about Jordan Larson, right? Like not an actual governor.
I was okay. No, I wasn't. Obviously, stop.
Not from this state, Matt McMaster.
Yeah,
You almost got through that unscathed, Matt.
It's very rarely I make
that
through
whole
anything
Hupper
unscathed.
conversation. You nailed it until the end.
Nailing it right until the end. Almost like a Vrabel Rossini story. Austin Jacobsen, always great talking to you, my friend. We will see you next week.
Yep, you won't see me in any of those New York Times posts. So, yep,
whoa, you're not going to be caught at a casino in Biloxi, Mississippi?
No, I don't think so. Hopefully TMZ is not in Chadron, so I don't think any of us Hurrdat Sports employees have anything to worry about. It should be fine.
You and I should recreate the casino picture.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
maybe not the Tribeca pictures, but we can recreate. we should recreate the Vrabel Rossini pictures, not in Tribeca.
Yep. Matt, let me be very clear with you. I would love to finger lock with you in Sedona, Arizona at some point. That'd be very fun.
After we go to another pizza place, episode 3 of Pies and Pictures will be in Sedona on my tab,
okay,
buddy.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm on.
We'll talk to you later, Austin.
Bye, Austin. Bye, Austin. Bye.
Matt choking across the table from me. He's just so emotional over Austin's car trip. You okay?
I went down the...
Yeah. No, work through it. We only got about 40 minutes left. We're good. Less than that, really.
I'm crying now.
Oh.
I'm so sad he's gone.
You really care about that guy.
No, I don't.
You really want him to have a safe car trip.
God, I got an eyelash in my water now. God, I'm sorry. I'm about to throw up. Let's hit a break. Let's talk about
Don't
balls.
do that on air. I know from experience.
Balls coming up next.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
All right, a couple pieces of wide-ranging news before we get into balls, our Major League Baseball segment. This just in, the $600 million Memorial Stadium project has passed unanimously by the voting members of the Board of Regents. Sean Callahan, very, very comically, forgot the million. So he goes, the $600 Memorial Stadium project, which $600 in Memorial Stadium would buy you what? 6 ski beers? If that? What would $600 million build you at Memorial Stadium? 12 inches of cement?
Yeah. Not much.
Not much at all. So that was just approved. And then funny, just not funny, but like a very interesting back-to-back piece of news when it comes to Michigan basketball. 3 minutes ago, from Shams Charania, which, by the way, Shams is now in the transfer portal game.
Yeah, you can't have everything, guy.
Stay in your lane. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Stick to your sport.
Like, you're great at what you do. There's other, like, you're taking jobs from other people.
So, basically, when we've done these like preseason rankings when it comes to college basketball, a lot of the teams that have been on the top have been Florida and have been Michigan, because it's like, well, their guys haven't declared for the draft yet. Michigan has been on the top of a lot of lists because we are assuming, hey, Morez Johnson might be coming back, right? There was a belief that Morez Johnson, their big from last year, who was next to a Daimara, would be returning to the Wolverines. Well, 3 minutes ago, Shams Charania goes, Cincinnati's 7'2" center Mustafa Tham has committed to play for the reigning NCAA champion Michigan Wolverines. He tells ESPN Tham averaged 12.8 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks last season, and serves as a major transfer portal pickup for Coach Dusty May. That's what Shams says. So immediately, I think, well, what is that? What does that mean about Johnson? Is that hinting that Johnson is going to declare for the NBA draft? 4 minutes ago, so 5 minutes ago, Shams reports this. 4 minutes ago, John Rothstein reports, sources, Michigan's Morez Johnson has declared for the 2026 NBA draft while maintaining his college eligibility. The 6'9" Johnson is currently projected to be a mid-first round pick. He averaged 13.1 points and 7.3 rebounds last season and was a major part of the national title run. So
each of them should have reported the other thing.
I know, right? They've swapped roles.
Yeah.
It's Freaky Friday, but basketball Twitter.
Oh, that'd be a fun game.
if Rothstein became Shams and Shams became Rothstein.
Just for a day.
For one day. I do. Oh my God. I'm 4 inches shorter and I'm buff. Shams is jacked, by the way. I went to the same gym as him when I was living in Chicago.
That's right.
We were not gym buddies, but we would like fist pump at the gym.
He couldn't keep up with you, is the rumor I heard.
No, I could not, dude. But here's the thing about him. That guy, every single time, what do you think he was doing in between sets?
Taking selfies.
Straight to the phone. Like straight to texting. He broke news right in front of me one time.
Wow.
Like, he was on the tricep pull down machine. He was like,
I'm familiar.
He was hitting it, just pulling down. Mm-hmm. And he's not very tall, but he's
not
jacked. He's pulling down. All of a sudden he goes on his phone and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I was doing the lat pulls on the back machine.
Shams listed at 5'9" on Google.
It was smaller, way smaller. At best 5'7",
mm-hmm.
At best. So anyway, I'm doing it. All of a sudden, my phone goes zzz, because I have Shams on notifications. And so, like, I'm doing it. And I go zzz, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Right. So then I'm like, I'm pulling, I'm done. I pull out my phone and it's like breaking. And I'm like, yeah, Mepher's right over there. What do you mean breaking? You're right there. Wait, what do you got to just come over here and tell me? What do you mean you got to
shout it out?
Just shout it out. Spencer Dinwiddie signing a 2-way contract. I bet Woj can't do that. Asian Joe goes, Shams breaking news while Matt breaks wind.
Accurate.
Big time. I was coughing earlier.
You were. I'm worried about
I was choking on water. And then my acid reflux kind of acted up real quick. Before we get to balls, The San Francisco 49ers probably going to end up trading the 33rd overall pick, according to Tom Pelissero. They're getting a lot of calls right now. The Niners went from 27 to 30, 30 to 33. They're just kind of cooping up picks right now, recouping picks for later in the draft. They have like 6 picks, and they're all in the first 5 rounds. So 49ers just trying to add some young depth to their pretty old roster. All righty. Josh Hodson.
Balls.
Our resident Major League Baseball sicko, who will come in,
default, really
will come in here and be like, you see the sliding catch by the guy in the Oakland A's on during the Tampa Bay broadcast? That's what you say. And I'm like, what are those words?
And nobody knows
together?
what I'm talking about.
No, because we don't watch baseball like you do.
Did you see the guy catch the ball with his shirt this week? That was fun.
I didn't. That's why we have
balls.
Well, what happened?
I'll do good, bad, and ugly, just like I did last week.
Let's just keep this. Yeah, just
like last week, I'll start with the Chicago Cubs.
Hey, 9 in a row, baby.
9 in a row. Headed into a weekend series with the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine. They're tied with the Reds for the lead in the NL Central. They haven't lost a game since that fat Rays fan showed his ass to the world. Literally, like he was in foul territory.
They should have done more with that broadcast. They did not hammer that home. They didn't moon us enough.
Yeah.
I should have seen 7 different angles of that ass is what I should have seen.
If it was an amazing catch, you would have shown us every angle you had.
Seriously.
You got to do it for the low lights too.
And the highlights. or the crack lights.
That's right. The crack lights.
Like as an ass crack, did you put that?
Sounds like Whitney Houston's basement. What?
That's terrible. She's passed away.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
All right, punk. What's the bad?
Well, I got one more good. The Yankees have won 6 in a row and look like the clear best team in the AL East. Let's just remember that. The bad, the Brewers have lost 9 of 14. They are now last in the NL Central. I think they were first the last time.
They were first the last time we talked.
They had to face Tarek Skubal yesterday and Paul Skeens today. It is the first time in Major League Baseball history a team has ever faced the 2 reigning Cy Young winners on back-to-back days.
What a stat.
Yes.
That's awesome, especially because it happened to the loser Brewers.
Yeah.
Talking about a team that just hasn't accomplished anything, and for whatever reason we keep saying their name. What a bunch of losers the Brewers are. It's crazy, man. Wow.
I actually agree with you.
Just imagine being a Brewers fan. Yeah. Like they go oh, we had Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder and Woodruff and Hader. Oh my God, the fancy arms and Pat Murphy. He's such a good manager. Oh my God,
have you seen the Miz? Have you seen the Miz?
Oh my God, Robin Ute. Just shut up. Just shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth.
All right. The Royals still struggling. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games.
Tough watch.
You want to flip that. The ugly.
It's not. Hey, this isn't golf. The high score wins here.
Has anyone told them that?
You know what?
Well, I'll text Jake that here this afternoon.
You know what? But I think Q's too busy telling everybody they need a mental break.
Yeah. It's April 24th. Just 6 teams in the AL have a winning record. Only one of them, the New York Yankees, is more than 2 games over 500. At one point earlier this week, they were the only team in the American League over 500.
That's crazy.
And the Phillies.
They suck.
They have lost 9 in a row. They have the worst record in the bigs. They have the worst. There's a stat called WRC plus, and the Phillies are the worst at it. That's runs created. They're the worst in runs created against left-handed pitching. So if you have a lefty, throw it against the Phillies. And they're the worst in runs created for their 4 through 7 hitters. That's an important part of the lineup, the middle of the lineup. They're also worst in defensive runs saved.
That's tough.
Tough times in Philly.
So you can't hit and you can't field.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do? He gets on base. Not a lot. I think we should just have a direct line to WIP. We should just broadcast anytime there's a Philly call. There's a call about the Phillies. We should have a light that blinks, and we just go right to WIP radio. We just go right to Philly Sport Radio. We interrupt this programming to bring you Mad Philly fans. Mad Philly fan of the week might be
okay.
Can we disseminate their? Are we a sister station with WIP radio?
We could be.
We could make a part. I'm offering you a deal. We're like Dwight Schrute. I have a deal. Could be 6 months. Could be 7. 8 months. A possibility. 9 months. I could foresee that happening. That's how many months until the Philadelphia Phillies win a game.
Whoa, that would be incredible.
That'd be awesome.
I would love that.
That would. I think Philly would shut down.
Yeah.
I think all Philadelphia would just cease
They would
to
burn that
exist.
stadium to the ground.
That'd be quite something. That was balls with Josh Otson.
Balls.
Great job. The good, the bad, the ugly. The Cubs have won 9 in a row, and I'm not saying that like I'm not buying them. I think the Cubs are good. They're good.
Let's wait till PCA
Gets it going.
yeah.
But I just think the Met. I watched a lot of the Met series, and I watched more of the first Philly series than the second Philly series. I just think they're bad. I think the Mets and Phillies are just really bad.
Yeah.
Like I that's kind of what I took away more from those series. Like not to take anything away from the Cubs. You still got to win 9 games in a row. It's baseball. Weird crap happens, right? And they had that comeback win where they were down 1 against the Mets. They won that one. That was gutsy. They had that offensive explosion against Philly in their second game against them. Like they took advantage of some defensive mistakes in that Philly series too. Overall, like
defensive runs saved. Phillies are bad at it.
Like they've been the Cubs have been playing some solid baseball, but I think in these 9 games I've watched them play, I'm more taken aback by how bad the NL East is than I am the Cubs being great. Now, that's all subject to change when you go ahead in your next 6 games, you play the Dodgers and the Padres. And if you come out of that over 500, then maybe we start having some serious conversations about what the Cubs can accomplish.
Those West Coast trips can be telling for
big time.
Teams like that.
And last year, the Cubs went on the West Coast and they killed it. I mean, it was one of the better stretches that they had. It was during this time in April as well. So I don't know. Like I think coming into the season, the Cubs were a team that you were, as a fan, you're hopeful of like, okay, I want to be the team that plays with the Dodgers in the NLCS. Like that's kind of how you have to view.
That's everybody's goal, right?
This season, right? You want to be the last team standing with the team that's supposed to be there. And I think that they, the Cubs haven't spent the most money, but I do think that, Jed and the ownership have done a good job of making their money make sense. And like that team makes sense and their money where it is makes sense.
And if you're looking for you get the Dodgers, you don't have to face Ohtani this weekend. Like I know it's April and like not every game matters, but like you don't have to face Ohtani this weekend on the mound.
No,
you have to throw to him.
But. Yeah, that's going to be a bigger issue than anything. But I think for me, just the takeaway is like, the Cubs, if they have a roster that if they play up to what they're supposed to play, I don't know if there's a hole. Like I in the starting rotation now that Kate is gone, obviously, but like in their lineup specifically 1 through 9, there's not really a hole in that roster, especially if Ballesteros is hitting. It continues to hit the way that he's been hitting. So we'll see. Big West Coast road trip coming up for the Cubs. All right, coming up next, we tell you what to watch along with the dog of the weekend here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. Josh, what are we watching this weekend, my friend?
We are going to continue to watch the NFL draft, second round tonight at 6 on ESPN and NFL Network, going on all weekend long. NBA playoffs all weekend. The only team that has a chance to close out their series this weekend is the Lakers. They hold a 2-0 lead over the Toronto Raptors. They play tonight and Sunday. NHL playoffs all weekend long. Hurricanes, Penguins, Avalanche going for the sweep. Oilers can advance with a pair of wins tonight and Sunday. Baseball, Phillies, Braves, 6:15 tonight on Apple. Cubs, Dodgers on your TV a lot this weekend. They're on Apple tonight at 9 and 6 o'clock tomorrow night on Big Fox. Guardians, Blue Jays tomorrow afternoon on FS1. And Sunday Night Baseball emanates from Kauffman Stadium this weekend for Angels, Royals at 6 o'clock on Peacock with Jason Benetti.
Why is godforsaken team? It's just on national TV all the time now.
Well, they were expected to be better.
But they weren't expected to be great.
No, but I mean, they have some fun players who are not having fun right now.
Yeah, none of them are.
College baseball, Butler and Creighton, 6 o'clock tonight, 2 o'clock tomorrow, noon on Sunday. All the games on ESPN Plus and on Yacht Rock 1180. Number 20, Nebraska against Illinois. 6 o'clock tonight, 3 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock Sunday. All of those on Big Ten Plus. Iowa, Nebraska softball and hosting Iowa all weekend long on Big Ten Plus. And the latest from Timmy Chalamet. Marty Supreme is on HBO Max now.
Trying to finish a Chalamet movie, The King.
I had not heard of this until you brought it up earlier this week.
Yeah, I like it. It's about King Henry V, I believe. He's either the 5th or the 6th.
Good king, bad king?
His dad was a bad king.
Okay.
He's trying to be a better king.
Okay.
Just put it that way.
It's important.
Do well out there, Kings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kill your bookmaker. I'm going to rip his throat out. I will blow this man out. I will step on his throat until the man chokes. Let me tell you how. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. I'm on a roll.
Dude, you got to love dogs, right?
Is King Charles still the only king that we have kicking right now around the world?
Gosh, I don't know. It seems very unlikely. Seems like there is a small nation king out there.
There's one more king. King James and the LA Lakers plus 260 to defeat the Houston Rockets and take a commanding lead in the NBA Western Conference first round in Houston.
All right. Well played by you.
Bang, bang. Niner gang, 33rd overall pick. NFL draft starting back up in a couple of hours. Can't wait to talk about it with all of you on Monday. Thank you for listening all week to Middays with Matt. We will reconnect with you on Monday. But before that, on Sportsmanlike Conduct and the crossover coming up next.